case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence, and a reflection of what the Department of Justice has become under Donald Trump, which is heartbreaking. But I was also inspired by the example of the career people who refused to be part of this travesty. It cost some of them their jobs, which is painful, but it preserved their integrity, which is beyond price. And I know they will serve again.
That Uganda and Kenya are brothers and sisters, and we do not have time for negative engagement. Uganda is assured of the access to the sea through Kenya, and that is why we are not only extending the pipeline, we are also extending the road, and we are also extending the railway, because we believe that this region needs to move as one.
Participation. What do you communicate to the citizens during public participation? Do you prepare them so that people really get to understand this? Yes, it is our responsibility. What you collected last year, we used it for A, B, C, D. Now we want to increase it by 10% or 5%. So what do you think, please? This is how we want to collect it. And you prepare the citizens. What is lacking is that there are some serious gaps, especially on other arms of governments.
Now, informal sector accounts for about 83 or 85% of the population, but when it comes to the actual tax paying, it could even be less than 5%. So what we are saying is that part of this informal sector is not as informal as it is being presented to be. The process of tax paying and accountability the efficiencies can be built around that process. Sadly, we have had cases of people saying that ITIMS is a tax. No. Now, when ITIMS
I don't think any bank should be discriminated against. The procedures were followed. The PFM talks about how accounts are opened by counties. That was followed. I don't think anyone has a greater right, or any institution has a greater right. There is no law that says bank with equity or with co-op or with cooperative. So long as you've looked at the risk involved and the deal, a better deal to the county in terms of processing, salary etc., we're confident about that, and it's a decision that we've made.
To strengthen the delivery of healthcare services countywide, we have delivered major infrastructural and service improvements across the sub-county level 4 hospitals. A recent case that demonstrates the milestone and our efforts to decentralize essential health services to the peripheries occurred at Tarbaj Sub-County Hospital. The hospital successfully carried out its first ever cesarean section and was performed for a mother who had previously lost 2 babies and had been referred from Mansa location. And thanks to our medical team, she delivered safely on 23rd of November 2025.
This is our country, okay? It is our country. And we must determine what kind of a country we want. And we must determine what kind of a future we want to bequeath to our family. The people who built Makongeni 100 years ago had a vision and had a dream for that generation, and it served them.
All right.
We then, it is our responsibility right now to say, is it right to have 70% of our Nairobian population living in slums?
Education must be orderly, inclusive, and driven by policy.
No shortcuts.
Not shortcuts or abrupt pronouncements.
Yes. Sisi tunaomba kwamba fursa ambayo atapatiwa yule head teacher ama yule principal akuwe ni mtu ambaye amequalify kufundisha na pia ana qualify kuongoza, na asikuwe ni mtu mmoja ambaye anaongoza ECD, primary na JSS. Akuwe mtu kando ili kukuwe na management of facilities, management of capitation kando.
Let it be
1 year.
As it was promised, as it is written on the paper, okay?
Yes. Yeah.
So we just hope that the interns are going to be confirmed so that they enjoy working as a Kenyan teacher.
The junior school is at the level of exploration, and it needs some resources. It needs also some support from all the stakeholders, and with autonomy, that one will be ensured.
Power was tested in the corridors of leadership, economies shook under pressure, and the voices of ordinary citizens demanded to be heard. From breaking decisions in high office to protests in the streets, from moments of triumph to tragedies that stopped us in our tracks, these are the headlines that shaped our week. And beyond the noise, we search for what really matters, the connections, the context, the stories behind the stories. Introducing Patricia Wayoa, and this is your weekly news roundup on Radio Generation, where every headline has a heartbeat and every moment counts.
And yes, good evening. I hope you had a good day. Yes, this being the 29th of this is November. Yes, the 29th of November 2025. Welcome to this show, the Generation Report, that starts from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Like I had said, I hope you had a great week. It has been a very, very, very busy week, starting from the last time that you were here. Our week actually starts from Saturday. So from Saturday to Saturday. So from Saturday last week, I hope you had a great week and everything was awesome. So a lot has happened kutoka wakati, as you all know. If you've been watching the TVs, if you've been listening to news, a lot has been happening, even on your social media platforms, on the media platforms. Whatever, unapata kwamba a lot is happening in our country, and that is the reason that why we are here tonight, to ensure that we are going to review what happened in the course of the week. And actually, not just reviewing, we are looking at the big stories that trended in the course of the week, big stories that happened in the course of the week, this week. And as we all know, this week was busy in terms of politics, and we are talking about the by-elections that happened on 27th, that is on Thursday. And before that also, there was a lot also happening in terms of development in our country. Tumeona rais akifunga safari za kwenda sehemu tofauti na akiahidi miradi tofauti, launching different projects in our country. We have seen teachers also, the junior school, secondary school teachers also coming out and also pushing for what they feel like they deserve as teachers. So a lot has happened, and therefore we will ensure that we are going to review this together with you. And tonight I am joined by one Joachim Simiyu. This is a Secretary General of Safina Party. There is also Joshua Nyamori, who is also a governance analyst, expert. He will also be joining us. We also have Gichuhi also. He will be in the house. We also have another guest here. Yeah, tonight tonight we have a very big team, yes, because I also have Davis Oluoch, who is a reporter at ODM Youth League. I also have with me Engineer Gichane Mwangi, who is a youth leader, yes, from Kiambu. So all these guests will be with us, panelists will be with us tonight to ensure that we give all this news a different perspective. Remember, they all bring different opinions, and therefore bringing all this together makes the show a success. And therefore, also you outside there, you are tuned in. That is on Radio Generation. We are also calling upon your participation. Yeah, your contribution is key, because you also bring in a different opinion that really matters. So this is the place where we make sure that all voices matter, because we ensure that we break down all the voices that were heard in the course of the week. We break them down to give them a different perspective. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this is Radio Generation on 88.8. That is on your radio. Please make sure that you tune in. Join us in this conversation. For those of you who are in Mombasa, kule Pwani, 90.7 is your frequency. Ensure that you tune in. Also, for them that want to tune in on our online platform, please do so at Radio Gen KE. You'll be able to follow the conversations that will be happening right here. And remember, this is gonna be great. Kuanzia saa hizi mpaka pale saa 4, we ensure that we highlight every big story that happened. So please do not go far, because we are right here with you.
Because our constitution
Constitution decrees that elections must be free from harassment, violence, intimidation, and of course malpractices such as bribery. And so when we received reports from Kasipul that there have been instances of chaos and violence, we did constitute the Election Code of Conduct Enforcement Committee, and that committee summoned all the concerned candidates to appear before that committee, and that committee completed that process successfully. As you are aware, the commission did fine those candidates 1 million each, which they did pay, failure to which that could have led to their disqualification. So I'm glad the two candidates cooperated. They paid their fine on time. They also signed a political decency and peace and peaceful elections charter. And we believe, as of now, they are still abiding by that pledge, and of course by the code of conduct.
Kwa niaba ya Ugunja constituency ningependa kusema kwamba tuko tayari kabisa, na bila shaka hatuna jambo lolote ambalo tunaweza sema kwamba limeleta mushkili aina yoyote. Kwa wakati huu tunawatuma maafisa zaidi ya 232 na hawa wote ndio watakuwa wakiwahudumia wana Ugunja, na ni matarajio yetu kwamba kaaji wote wa Ugunja constituency bila shaka watajitokeza ili waweze kuhakikisha kwamba wamemchagua kiongozi ambaye atawaongoza.
Hawa wakubwa wa security tulifanya kazi na wao wengi na tunawajua vizuri sana. The Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kanja. Unajua kuna namna ya kuendesha watu namna hii na ushenzi, anapo wanafikiri hivyo ndivyo nchi inapaswa kuendeshwa. Wakenya hawezi kukubali maneno kama haya. Na tusiharibu nchi yetu kwa sababu ya siasa duni na mambo ya pesa na upumbavu kama huo.
So I'm asking Boni, he's my good friend by the way. Boni is one of my mentors in politics. In fact, I would want us to test him. Aende atukue tikiti ya DCP asimame. Ni DCP ama ni DAPK? Yeah, DAPK asimame. Tujaribu. Sasa kiende akachukue DCP asimame. We are ready for this by-election. Sini kupimana nguvu. They are bidding their time, wanting us to negotiate with them. Some of them, you are saying that they are willing to talk to William Ruto because they think they are kingpins of their region.
We have had no incidents. There have been small issues of the machines not working, the fingerprints not picking up. Myself, I had my fingerprint. I had to repeat it twice or thrice. But apart from that, we have no issues of violence. We have no issues of other, issues that are not conducive to this environment.
Nobody is going to be denied his opportunity to choose his leader. If the fingerprints don't work, then there are alternative methods of voting. There are alternative methods of identification that can be done. And our officers in the field, the POs and everybody, the presiding officers and the clerks, everybody is quite familiar on what steps to take as and when the system does not work properly. But by and large, 99% of the system is working perfectly well.
Sai hakuna msukumano hapa na pale. Naona sasa unapiga kura, unatoka unaenda kufanya shughuli yako. Kwamba wenye wako nyumbani saa hii watoke kwa wingi wakuje wapige kura ili tumalize mapema, ndio vizuri. Polisi wanafanya kazi mzuri, hawasumbui wananchi, wako sawa sawa, wametulinda, hakuna shida. Nimepata usaidizi mzuri sana, nimehudumiwa vizuri, hakuna kelele.
My name is Makasodo. I just entered about 10 minutes ago. I voted, so I cannot speak of any delays or anything because I voted. I've just entered. I've voted. I cannot say I'm handled bad because I've just entered and voted. Everything is okay. Maybe people are not coming. There's no crowd here. I was expecting to get a crowded line, but there's nobody around. But I just entered and voted.
Mimi jambo la kwanza kwa IBC, nataka vile hiyo jina yao iko, nataka ikuwe free and fair, isiegemee upande wote. Wacha yule wapiga kura wamempigia kura atangazwe mshindi.
Nimefika around 8:15 and actually voting is going on well, even though the turnout is low. The process is very okay. I have not noted any anomaly, and actually the public, the Arab people around have kept distance. They are away.
Choices elected to represent them
I want to assure those voting in this electoral area that from the agencies I've talked to, there is sufficient security deployed and people should not act in any fear. They should go and vote and go home to wait for the results that will be announced after tallying. This is after the stations are closed at 5.
Introducing Patricia Waiua, and this is Generation Report, your weekly news roundup show on Radio Generation, where every headline has a heartbeat and every moment counts.
And yes, welcome back. This is the Generation Report that starts from 7 p.m. up to 10 p.m. And like I had just introduced before Joachim just stepped in, tonight we shall be having Joachim Simiyu. Yes, he shall be introducing himself, and he will also tell us what he has been up to this week, because I know it has been quite a very busy week, starting from the issue of by-elections, like I had said, starting also from the issue of developments the president is doing. I know Simiyu has something to say about such kind of developments. So, welcome, Simiyu. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Nafurahia kufika hapa. And see what happens. Yes.
Yes, what usually happens on the Generation Report is a roundup of the big stories that happened in the course of the week.
All right.
Yes, we might be talking about politics, governance, and every other thing, big stories that happened in the course of the week. Yes, yeah. So we sit here, we review, we look at them, we break them down, the stories, we give them different opinions, different perspectives, so that now we can also changia in decision making in our country, and also
very important.
Yes.
Very important.
Yeah, so thank you for coming.
Yes.
Tonight you shall be sitting with someone, Joshua Nyamori. I'm sure you know him.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, so that now you can help us look at the big stories that happened in the course of this week. And as I started by asking, how was your week?
My week has been up and down. We've had the by-elections coming up. We were participating in the by-election. And so it was about preparations and campaigns here and there. But they are now behind us. What we take from there is valuable lessons that it's a must for us to carry to the next general election.
Actually, speaking of valuable lessons, I know we've learned a lot.
A lot.
This by-election, actually, even before it happened, we were saying that we know this will be like a litmus paper. I mean, a litmus test, yes, to the Kenyan political scene. Yes, not only on the IEBC, but also even to us voters, and even the political parties. Yes, it was quite a very big test. So maybe to ask, did your party did they participate, and maybe what are some of the seats they were able to capture?
We had participation in 3 by-elections, and we did not capture any. But I think what we got was commensurate with the efforts that we put in. This by-election was a unique one, and we had 2 players in it. For us, we were there as a dry run to see what happens. The 2 main players in this by-election was 1 term versus 2 term. For us who still are figuring out, we are thinking about what is the need for the people as we engage in this whole political discourse. What are we aiming to solve? What are the problems that we have identified that are bedeviling our country? And as we campaign, how do we intend to solve them? So our participation in the last by-elections, to us, we got what we wanted.
Okay, is it for you as a party or for you as a united opposition?
We were in this by-election as a party.
Okay.
Individually as a party, just as Safina. And what we wanted from the by-elections, we got it. Yes.
Well, when you talk of, as a party, I know Safina is also part of the, I don't know whether you are part of the broader united opposition.
No, we are not.
Or you are not, you are standing by yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I also tend to feel like it was the same perspective that the united opposition also had in their minds, like we are getting there to see what we can be able to do.
When you look at our approach to all these things, you realize that Safina Party has a very different approach. You've not seen us out there being confrontational with other people. We are just talking about what is our problem? How can we solve it? We are interrogating both sides. The opposition where we are, not the united opposition. But by the mere fact that we are putting the government in check, that makes us opposition. But the questions we ask is that what will happen after the voting day with whatever outcome that will come out of the ballot? If it happens that two-term has become a reality after the election day, then what next? How do the people of Kenya live through the two-term? If it happens that one term becomes a reality, then what next? How do we now live with the issue of in the government that will come next time? What are we, as the people who are yearning to come into leadership of the country, what are we offering? It cannot be, when you see the one similar thing between one term and two term is that we are not coming out clearly to say, to make it about the people. When we talk about one term, you see people are saying that we are discussing among ourselves, who takes what, who takes which position. But that should not be the focus. Before we even start discussing on who takes what, it should be then after what you take, what are you going to do about it? What are the problems that the Kenyan people are raising? And what's your formula to solve those problems? That's the biggest question. Yes.
I had a recording here about the president. I don't know imeenda wapi, about the president calling out on the united opposition.
Yes.
On the issue of okay, it's not even only that clip. He has been telling them that they are agendaless. They don't know what they really want. And I had that clip was talking about when the president was saying that the opposition, they are discussing leaders, while they are thinking about the people.
First of all, the president must stop thinking that he's the prefect for the opposition. He's not our prefect. He cannot come and prefect what our agenda should be. And he cannot even tell us what should be the agenda, because the person with the mandate given to him by the people to state what the agenda is and actually actualize that agenda is him in the office. He should stop being preoccupied by thinking about what is the agenda for the opposition. That is our bitter pill to swallow, not his. His biggest job is to implement what he told the people that he's coming to do, not to stand on top of his SUV and talk about how the opposition is agendaless. What is his agenda? Because if at all there is anyone who has taken the trophy for proving that he's agendaless, it's the president.
Why? And I'm seeing the president all over, and him launching a lot of projects. Like right now, as we are speaking right now, he has pledged major investments to unlock the northern Kenya's potential. As we speak right now,
he has been launching projects ever since he came into power. He has not commissioned. We have not seen anything that started from the scratch to completion. All he has been doing is launching. And yesterday he was in Kiambu to talk about purposely to launch a road. Is it Maori Roni? Then the question should be, do we have a budget for it? Who is going to finance it? What are the contract signings? Who is the contractor? Is it really going to happen? Where are we going to raise the money to build that road? Those are the questions people should be asking. Once we know how are we going to finance that project, then we can be sure it is going to happen. You see, when you look at that whole exercise with a political eye, you realize that it was a well-planned event. The day after the by-elections. And when you look at the majority of the speeches in that event, it was to hurl insults at the opposition. It was not really an event to launch a project. I am sure if the outcome of the Mbeere by-election was different from what happened, I doubt if he would be in Kiambu trying to say that he's launching a road. It is to take political credit that you see, even as they make noise, I have still defeated them. You see, when we talk about government projects, and you see what happened is that immediately he launched that road, there is a petition in court. Do you want to tell me that the petition in court waited for the by-election? It waited for the launching. Then it happened after the president had launched. In my own thinking, it's all the same people doing it to stall that thing because there is no finances for it. And you can't tell people that there is no money for it because you already told them that there is a way we are going to finance it. But how do you make sure that it stalls? You send someone to court to petition. And so through the court process, it takes time and we are nearing the election. Then come during the election and say, I had the intention of building this road. But these people ran to court. Now they have costed you a road.
Wait a minute. So every other person who is going to court, when the president starts doing something, starts to maybe he has a project that he's pushing. So we have seen people going to court. Yeah. So do you mean that some of these people are it's just a project by the same government?
Yes. Some of these people are just being sent by the same government. You use one hand to support the project, then you use the other one to stall it. Because as we speak, the issue of resources to fund these projects is a nightmare.
I have seen, there's also another clip the president was saying where this 5 trillion that he talked about, because a majority of these projects that he's launching, he said that it will cost around Kenyans around 5 trillion, right?
Yes.
Yes, and there was something that he was saying today that he knows very well that we are able, the country is capable of raising that amount that will be able to ensure that those projects have been done.
So, according to the president, how are we going to raise the 5 trillion? Is it by introduction of another levy or tax?
Actually, that is what I don't know what is happening to my phone, because I heard that story about him, what he had indicated. But all in all, him saying that we are able as a country to raise that amount, whether through taxes, whether through loans, because I know, of course, if the taxes fail, the loans now come in.
If all those things cannot work, if we talk about tax, another tax, it will be taxed on what? Your income. What does the law say about taxing people on their income? We already having housing levy, which came to the income of the people. So you cannot come up with another levy or tax, then raiding the same pay slip that you are raiding. That amounts to a double taxation. So we cannot finance those projects by taxation. When we talk about loans, how much do we owe right now? And how much of our tax revenue is actually going to debts, to servicing these loans? We have already surpassed the ceiling of how much of our GDP is going to debt. It's 68%.
Around 68 point something percent.
Yes, in a third world country like ours, you should not exceed 55%. So if we are already, if we are already playing in the field that is way beyond our ability, then how do you come to us and tell us that we can stretch it further? Why the ambition of sounding so sophisticated and development oriented when the basics have become a problem to you? Have we made it possible that every child born in this country accesses education? Have we made it possible that medical health care, health services are available to us? Those are the very small things that we should have solved before even start thinking of how we can become a Singapore or Malaysia. You see, we need to, if we want to become Singapore, then we need to take steps taken by Singapore. How did they get there? Did they get there by doing projects that they cannot finance? Did they get there by overlooking the basics of their people? Did they develop their people by finishing their industries and making manufacturing expensive? No. So if we are taking a formula that has never worked anywhere in the world, or wherever it was used, it failed, then what makes it possible that we are thinking that we can be the only ones who can make it work? You see, all these projects are good. And as a Kenyan, I would like to have them. But I would like to be practical in reality. How do we finance them? Because nikikuja hapa, in your home, if your partner tells you that we are going to now have a bigger house, we are going to buy expensive furniture because we need to live a dignified life, we are going to buy a bigger TV, and we are going to live in a leafy estate. It's a good ambition. And everyone in that family would like to have such kind of life. But the question is, how do you get there? How much are you earning? Will that be enough to finance that kind of lifestyle? No. And that, what does that mean? That dream remains a dream. You know, if we are in a country where the Auditor General comes and tells you 300 billion from the government bonds is unreachable, we don't know where it is. And then even Parliament is very quiet about it. The Auditor General comes again and tells you, you see, for the past 7 months, we have had a manual withdrawal of 1.3 trillion from the Treasury. And for the purpose as to which this money has been withdrawn is not clear. Then members of Parliament called the Auditor General a corrupt woman. And some suggest that we actually do not need the office of the Auditor General. And that same country, those same leaders that are telling you that we should scrap the office of the Auditor General are telling you that we will be Singapore tomorrow. You know, some things, sometimes I listen to speeches made by these leaders and I laugh. And I feel sorry for people who believe them. It's actually...
So according to you, the dream by the president about Kenya becoming like Malaysia, Singapore, is a dream that cannot be realized?
It's a daydream. It can only be realized through practical means.
Isn't the president doing enough, like in terms of, because for us to get there, first of all, of course, we need to think of industrialization as a country. And I've seen the president moving around and really working on issues to do with industrialization in the country.
Like what?
Launching projects that, of course, support industrialization, like constructing roads.
Constructing roads. Which road? Maurirone Road. It still goes to... You see, the issue of industrialization, you have to be very practical. What do you aim to produce? What do you want? Which sector do you want to industrialize? Which ones are already in existence that we can just boost them? In terms of industrialization, we already have sectors that are struggling. All we could have done is to boost them and give them a lifeline. We have not. Sugar sector in Western Kenya is on its deathbed. We cannot talk about industrialization when existing ones have not been put in spaces where they can perform. When I was growing up, you couldn't wait for a report from the cabinet to know that the economy is working. Mm-hmm. You see, even the marketplaces where I was growing up, these marketplaces used to boom. We had Bukembe Market, Kitale Market. You see, the even cane cutters, they used to be paid after every 2 weeks. And they could be paid in those marketplaces. The company officers come with the money. They put up a site in the marketplace. They pay the cane cutters from there. On that market day, there is a lot of money exchanging hands. Mm-hmm. And you could even look for meat. Umeenda kununua nyama haupati by saa 10 because everyone is buying meat. People who used to sell clothes, they used to make money because people could make money.
Yes.
That's not the case today. So how do you say you are keen on industrialization? What is the key driver of industrialization? Before we even think of roads, mm-hmm. in industrialization we have to think about energy, fuel, electricity. How costly is it? You see? Mm-hmm. We are anticipating the rise in the cost of fuel. And since 2022 up to now, there has been a rise in the cost of electricity. Any manufacturing plant or industry depends on these two things. When we make them expensive, automatically everything becomes expensive. Mm-hmm. You see? Mm-hmm. So you cannot come and talk about industrialization when energy is an expensive commodity to buy. Mm-hmm. Manufacturing needs energy, transportation needs it, packaging needs it, storage. So if we were very genuine with the issue of industrialization, then the first area to pay attention is how affordable is energy to the people. Mm-hmm. And do we have enough of it? You cannot industrialize the country by moving around the country on top of an SUV talking about how Kenya can be Singapore. That has been our problem. Mm. Yes.
Okay, I think we will continue with the conversation because we've also been joined by the other guests that we've been waiting for.
Yes.
Karibu sana. Karibu sana. We've been waiting for you to continue with this conversation. Maybe you found us talking about the issue of Kenya becoming Malaysia. We are talking about the projects that the president has been launching. Like right now, we are talking about him being in Garissa or those areas, and he's pledged to make sure that that place is really developed. Yeah, it has been an area that has been, I would say, like a minority. Yes, but he has promised to bring change in that area. And of course, we have seen him moving across the country, not only in the northern part of Kenya. We also saw him in Ukambani, the Ukambani region. We have seen him in western region. We've seen him in so many other places and giving promises. And what Simio is saying is that those projects ni projects ambazo ni hewa tu, they are going nowhere. So maybe you would want to hear your opinion about the same.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, one, I apologize for being late.
It's okay.
It was inevitable. And then thank you for the opportunity to join you and also to meet my brother Simiyu. I follow you on social media.
Thank you.
You're doing a good job.
Yes.
Yeah. So you say Simiyu is saying that the projects are not feasible?
Yeah, basically that.
Okay. Yeah, you know, it is important that when you're speaking to a national forum like this, you are able to critically analyze why you're saying it's not feasible. Okay. President William Ruto, when he came to power, said he was going to initiate affordable housing projects. And then some people declared it as impossible. Now we have the projects going on all over the country, providing jobs for hundreds and thousands of young people. It is undeniable. Even if my brother Simiyu denies it here, there are young people working on those sites. There are young people working in the quarries. There are young people working in the factories that are producing the products that are used in those projects. The money that they earn are used to buy in butcheries, in hotels, in markets. And then that money it goes into matatu, into boda boda, to mama mboga. So that money is circulating. That is how an economy is that has slowed down is triggered to grow once again. Now, the president in his State of the Nation address was very clear that he was not going to talk about promises, but he was going to talk about the Kenyan story. And he gave a beautiful story, where we came from, the challenges we had in the agricultural sector, the prices of food, the oil challenges, the shilling that was on, a free flow, and mention how the fertilizer prices had come down, how we were no longer importing, maize, and the prices of maize had gone down, how, the shilling had been stabilized at 129 shillings for a long time now, almost 2.5 years. So what the president promises, over time he's been able to deliver those promises. So one, I have no reason to doubt his commitment to moving Kenya to a first world country, especially following the lessons of countries like Singapore. In any case, Singapore was once at the level where Kenya was at independence. And it took work, it took vision, it took commitment, it took mobilization of the country. The president, as a person, has a role of mobilizing us towards certain objectives. And those objectives are the issues that he mentioned. When I walked in, my brother Simiyu was speaking about the issue of energy and saying that we cannot talk about industrialization when we don't have energy.
Power. Yes.
But I would want to invite my brother to go and watch the president's speech again. One of the critical issues that the president spoke about was the issue of energy, and said that as a country, we are going to invest in production of energy. And he talked about dams. Part of what the dams will help us with, apart from stabilizing our agriculture, so that we do not depend on rain-fed agriculture, is is production of electricity. And so the president actually mentioned that we need to move, I think, 5 times higher from our current production. Yeah. So the president has given us a vision. My view is that as a country, we need to work towards that vision. And we have a leader who is willing to take the risks, willing to mobilize the country, and has a very clear roadmap that we should follow. The other issue we talked about was the issue of logistics and transport system. And I mean, he started it yesterday by launching the Rironi-Mau Summit Road. He's talked about the issue of the railway. These are things that are happening. The issue of our ports. Then he's talked about the issue of improving our healthcare, even further, the issue of improving our education system, even further, reinforcing them. So Kenya is a work in progress. And I want to invite people to be positivists. I'm a positivist, and I believe that if we work in a concerted manner, we will be able to change this country. And that's I believe that Simiyu is an important leader. He's occupying an important space. I would want to invite him not to depress the ambition of Kenyans to get to the first world. We are going there.
You see, nobody hates the idea of going to the first world. Everyone wants it. And the example I gave you before Joshua came in is that even in our homes, we have ambitions of bettering our lives and one day taking our children to better schools, living in better neighborhoods, and having better furniture in our houses. Those are all very valid ambitions. But the problem comes in where, how do you now actualize those ambitions? How do you now move from that place you're staying to a better neighborhood? It requires resources. And you look at where you are at that time. Are you able to migrate from where you are to a better place? You will need to check where you put your priorities in terms of spending. You will need to look at your sources of income. What are your portfolios? Once you establish that, you know the next step to make. And all the projects that my friend has mentioned are all very good projects. I have a problem in how they are being undertaken. Let me start from what he mentioned first, the affordable housing project. And I want to remember what President Ruto used to say about housing before they were put up. The initial promise was that the people who are doing slightly well in their life are putting together something so that houses can be built for people with living in shanties, that we are being a country that cares about every other person. And I remember one of his speeches, I don't know whether it was in Homa Bay or where he said that the people who are opposing that program are the people with the pay slips who do not want people, Mama Mboga and Boda Boda, not to own houses. And later on, it turns out that the person paying is the one who will get a house. So the question comes in, what happens to the person who you said we are building a house for? And again, how are we undertaking this program? Where are we building it? Using whose money? And the initial promise was this, is that the affordable housing is going to provide even an opportunity for young people to engage in business, where you create a group, you are given a tender to supply bricks, let's say. Some are given a tender to supply window panes. And according to that promise, the project was poised to create
employment
yes, to the people. I still struggle to find any group of young people that has been given such a program of providing any building material to any affordable housing. And again, the issue of affordable housing, where are we building it? The government is building these houses on public land. By use of whose money? By the money contributed by the Kenyan people, meaning this money is being given by the taxpayer. So he's using public money to build houses on public land. And let us look at the rates at which these houses are being given out. They are not so different from the existing market rates. So how is this even affordable? And how do we define affordability? Because when we talk about reducing the price of this bottle of water, it could be costing 100. Then we see 100 is too much. Let's make it 50. I think instead of looking at ways of reducing the price for this water, why don't we empower people to be able to even afford it at 100? The biggest issue about the people, as we think about dignifying their lives, making them not live in shanties and have better houses, the first question you ask yourself is, why is this person living in a shanty? It cannot be that there is a shortage of houses out there. There are. But why is this person living in Mukuru Kwanjenga in a house that has sewage in front of it? It's because of his source of income. He is forced to live in that undignified place. The first step you should make is to look at how do we make this person's income become better, and look at the areas that are acting as constraints to the income of this particular person. A person who is used to, who earns the amount of money that is not even enough for him in that shanty, you want to give him a house on 9th floor. It has utility charges. You see?
Are you allowed to interject?
You want to give him a house on 9th floor. Let's say it's now meant for the people who are not doing so well in life.
Yes.
On a 9th floor. This person will need to pay for electricity charges. This person will need to even pay for garbage people to come and collect. It's a lifestyle that he's not used to. And I'm not saying that they will not get used to it. But the only thing that can make them comfortable in that kind of environment is to make sure that there are sources of income.
To empower them.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, but let me just ask Joshua to let us know, because I know maybe he knows maybe the story, the history of the journey of Kenyans' employment, the employment sector. Do you think this country, the administration can be able to create employment in this country? Because where we are right now as we speak, we are talking of exporting human labor. We are exporting our young people, taking them to Qatar, taking them to those other countries. And again, people come out and say that, of course, the government cannot employ everyone. That one is true. They can't employ everyone. But then now making the environment, making the business environment at least feasible, such that people can invest in businesses, people can invest in the country to create that employment. Where do you think we are heading there?
Now, Patricia, I have listened to your question, but I've also listened to submissions by my brother Simiyu.
Yes.
And my view is that before I respond to your question, allow me to respond to...
Allowed.
Yeah. Bwana Simiyu's views, because it is important that we correct certain misleading information that is given. And I would want to let Bwana Simiyu know that Mao Zedong once said, no research, no right to speak. And so Bwana Simiyu has opportunity to use the internet to get the right information, or knock the officers. Is a leader who has created his niche. And so it only takes him to walk into the Affordable Housing Board's offices to understand, to talk to the CEO or anybody, or ministry, talk to the PS or the CS. I am sure they'll give him information. He's spoken about the concept of affordable housing, probably to bring to his attention that I sit in the board of the National Housing Corporation Board. So I understand the concept. and that this concept is coded in an act of parliament, the Affordable Housing Act. And the idea is that the money being collected every week is building a fund, which is called the Affordable Housing Fund. And this fund is used to pay the private sector that is involved in terms of developers and contractors that are involved in development of the houses. So in terms of job creation, these jobs are created by the private sector, majorly that are involved. And I've talked about how the jobs are created. The jobs are created through the young people, both the unskilled and skilled manpower that is working on the sites, the ones that are working in the quarries, the ones that are working in the factories, lawyers that are doing conveyancing, engineers and architects, and so on and so forth, that are supporting the designing and supervising the projects. And then beyond that, the supply of the money that then is used in the economy then creates further jobs in the informal sector. The informal sector has an important role, so that items like windows, doors, and other fittings and fixtures are done by the informal sector associations through an agreement with the developers, and that is a component of the project delivery that is ring-fenced for them, and billions of shillings now move to the informal sector to do those components of the project. It is by involving them in those processes that then we build their capacity through supervision, so that they can then be able to undertake bigger and bigger projects. And by bringing them together into associations, then that they are able to consolidate themselves and move from small and micro level to one day become developers themselves. So that concept has a way of developing the entire economy. But then on the issue of pricing, again, I want to invite in that the pricing is reasonable pricing, much cheaper than what the market is able to provide for similar houses, fractions of what the market is able to provide. And that is why the residents of the former Mukuru slums are able to now get into the houses that were built there. That is why even next week the president is giving another batch, the second phase of the Mukuru houses. And we have not heard of a complaint from the slum dwellers that people were brought from elsewhere to occupy those houses. It is them. And we have seen on TV people moving from their shacks into the new houses. And then houses are being given on a long-term tenant purchase. We don't have, the banks are not able to give us 20 to 25 to 30 years tenant purchase, which is given here, so that you can pay it for the rest of your life. But even if you die a long time along the road, your children can still continue paying it. So that the poor people are able to own housing in the urban areas. That is inclusion.
Okay.
So you asked me about jobs.
No, before you we finish with the pricing factor of it and the financing of it, we are seeing those who are working are being deducted a certain amount of money to the housing, and then again there is also the contribution that you are making. You make a direct, like if you book a house, you're doing some contribution there. So how is this?
So that's another issue in which the people who are opposed to the project have used to try and mislead the public. The issue is that the right to housing, it's a right codified in the Constitution. Article 43 talks about housing as a human right, and the right is bestowed on every Kenyan as a right holder. So every Kenyan who is not able to afford housing should look for the duty bearer. Who is the duty bearer to ensure that they provide housing? The duty bearer primarily is the government. Okay? Then the question is, if the government should ensure that everybody has housing, how does it ensure this? There's different instruments that the government use. Part of it is to try and enable the private sector to provide housing. And this has been attempted in Kenya since independence. You might want to know that a National Housing Corporation was actually set up in 1957. And these old estates all over the country were built by National Housing Corporation. But previously, they were built using government resources that were then given as loans to local authorities that rented them to the people. That process failed for a number of reasons. Part of the reason why it failed is that our local authorities were not able to collect sufficient rent to repay the loan. And then even when they collected the money, they did not remit the monies to the National Housing Corporation. So even as we sit here now, the former local authorities, now counties, owe National Housing Corporation almost in excess of 4 billion shillings in terms of loans that were given in assets, but which were never paid. So that project process collapsed. Later, the government came up with the slum upgrading project in the 1990s and early 2000s. That was also attempted, but it failed because the funding was either to come from the exchequer or the donor funding. Donor funding, big promises that never came. The exchequer was not able to raise money from the available budgets. So with the other option was to leave Kenyans to go to the bank and get loans to provide housing. That method has only given housing to less than 5% of Kenyans. So the mortgage was only serving a small category of Kenyans, especially the middle and the upper level. So the poor, who are the majority, were left out.
Okay, just hold on that thought. We get to the top of the hour, then I'm getting back to you right now.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul.
I'm grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence, and a reflection of what the Department of Justice has become under Donald Trump, which is heartbreaking. But I was also inspired by the example of the career people who refused to be part of this travesty. It cost some of them their jobs, which is painful, but it preserved their integrity, which is beyond price. And I know they will serve again.
That Uganda and Kenya are brothers and sisters, and we do not have time for negative engagement. Uganda is assured of the access to the sea through Kenya, and that is why we are not only extending the pipeline, we are also extending the road, and we are also extending the railway, because we believe that this region needs to move as one.
Participation. What do you communicate to the citizens during public participation? Do you prepare them so that people really get to understand this? Yes, it is our responsibility. What you collected last year, we used it for A, B, C, D. Now we want to increase it by 10% or 5%. So what do you think, please? This is how we want to collect it. And you prepare the citizens. What is lacking is that there are some serious gaps, especially on other arms of government.
Now, informal sector accounts for about 83 or 85% of the population, but when it comes to the actual tax paying, it could even be less than 5%. So what we are saying is that part of this informal sector is not as informal as it is being presented to be. The process of tax paying and accountability the efficiencies can be built around that process. Sadly, we have had cases of people saying that ETIMS is a tax. No. Now, when ETIMS
I don't think any bank should be discriminated against. The procedures were followed. The PFM talks about how accounts are opened by counties. That was followed. I don't think anyone has a greater right, or any institution has a greater right. There is no law that says bank with equity or with co-op or with cooperative. So long as we looked at the risk involved and the deal, a better deal to the county in terms of processing, salary etc., we're confident about that, and it's a decision that we've made.
To strengthen the delivery of healthcare services countywide, we have delivered major infrastructural and service improvements across the sub-county level 4 hospitals. A recent case that demonstrates the milestone and our efforts to decentralize essential health services to the peripheries occurred at Tarbaj Sub-County Hospital. The hospital successfully carried out its first ever cesarean section and was performed for a mother who had previously lost 2 babies and had been referred from Mansa location. And thanks to our medical team, she delivered safely on 23rd of November 2025.
This is our country, okay? It is our country. And we must determine what kind of a country we want. And we must determine what kind of a future we want to bequeath to our family. The people who built Makongeni 100 years ago had a vision and had a dream for that generation, and it served them.
All right.
We then, it is our responsibility right now to say, is it right to have 70% of our Nairobian population living in slums?
Education must be orderly, inclusive, and driven by policy.
No shortcuts.
Not shortcuts or abrupt pronouncements.
Yes. Sisi tunaomba kwamba fursa ambayo atapatiwa yule head teacher ama yule principal akuwe ni mtu ambaye amequalify kufundisha na pia anaqualify kuongoza, na asikuwe ni mtu mmoja ambaye anaongoza ECD, primary na JSS. Akuwe mtu kando ili kukuwe na management of facilities, management of capitation kando.
Let it be
1 year.
As it was promised, as it is written on the paper, okay?
Yes.
So we just hope that the interns are going to be confirmed so that they enjoy working as a Kenyan teacher.
The junior school is at the level of exploration, and it needs some resources. It needs also some support from all the stakeholders, and with autonomy, that one will be ensured.
This week, power was tested in the corridors of leadership, economies shook under pressure, and the voices of ordinary citizens demanded to be heard. From breaking decisions in high office to protests in the streets, from moments of triumph to tragedies that stopped us in our tracks, these are the headlines that shaped our week. And beyond the noise, we search for what really matters: the connections, the context, the stories behind the stories. Introducing Patricia Wayoa, and this is your weekly news roundup on Radio Generation, where every headline has a heartbeat and every moment counts.
Yes, welcome back. This is the Generation Report here on Radio Generation. If you want to tune in and maybe you're listening at your neighbor's gadget, please do so on your own gadget. That is on your radio 88.8 here in Nairobi, 90.7 in Mombasa. And for you who also want to tune in on our online platform, please do so at Radio Gen KE. You'll be able to follow the conversation that is happening here. Remember, we unpack all the big stories that happened in the course of the week. And right now, as you've heard, we already started. We are talking about development. We are also about to talk about the by-elections that happened. We are talking on matters that are affecting Kenyans, and in one way or another, they were touched in the biggest news in the course of this week. So welcome back. I am joined by one Joshua Nyamori, is here in the house, and also Joachim Simiyu is also in the house, and we are continuing with this conversation. Before we went for the break, Joshua, you were saying something around the pricing of the affordable houses, because we need to wind up on that so that we can move to the next story.
Yeah, and I think you I was trying to explain how, the government can ensure that Kenyans then attain or access and enjoy their Article 43 right on housing. And apart from the failed previous programs that were used to finance development of the old estates. I told you about the mortgage process that done by the private sector, which then failed. But beyond that, the government then created what was called the Kenya Mortgage Refinancing Scheme, that through which the government and the World Bank set up a fund that would refinance mortgages. And refinancing mortgages is that when you are the banks give you mortgages, the World Bank is able to pay them, give them back that money immediately, and that allows the banks to give mortgages at a lower rate, which is 9%. And even that 9%, the price of houses and the period for payment was still not affordable for many Kenyans. So that has also not worked. It has just worked for a category of Kenyans. That is why the government had to come up with another mechanism. And the first mechanism that was proposed even by the Uhuru government and this government when it came in was for people to contribute to own. So that what you pay is what goes into the payment of your houses. But then that was also found not to be happening. Apart from the people going to court, the issue is it's only those who contribute who would then own the houses. And then it would also be voluntary. Initially, it was supposed to be compulsory, and then Uhuru ceded to pressure. So with the fact that it was going to be voluntary, it was not going to collect sufficient fund to undertake the projects. So then this matter was discussed and the legislation went through all the processes, including public participation. And it was agreed that be turned into a tax. So we have the tax where the employee pays 1.5 and the employer pays 1.5. And that is what then is used to finance the affordable housing, to create a fund. So the contractors or the developers develop the houses and then they are paid from the fund. Some people then, if you want to own a house, then you now pay for the house, but you are given time to pay it over a long period of time. Where banks are giving you 4 years a mortgage, this is giving you 30 years mortgage, and then it is cheaper because the cost of land is taken away, and then certain taxes are also removed. That makes the houses cheaper. That is why you find that some people are paying as low as 3,900. Some people are paying in the social houses as low as 1,000 bob. Okay? Now, be that as it may, therefore, this project, apart from just providing houses, is providing employment. And when you ask me about employment is not a crisis that began with this government. It is we have a youth bulge that has been building over the years, and previous governments have not done anything meaningful. This government, in affordable housing alone, is employing over almost 400,000 young people. And the president has promised that by next year it will be pushed to over 600,000, almost 700,000 young people. Then by improving agriculture, other young people are being taken into agriculture. By doing the big mega projects like what is going to happen to Rironi and the other mega projects that the government has we are going to absorb more young people. But even with that, with the youth bulge that we have, we cannot. We would be cheating ourselves to think that we can absorb all the young people in this employment. And because it is still a crisis, until we get to the point where, and which will take many years, that our economy can be able to absorb all the young people in the streets, we realize that Kenya is the largest non-mineral economy in the world. One of the things that Kenya is known for is our high-level human resource, and so there is deficit of labor, skilled labor, all over the world, especially in Europe and the Middle East, and Kenyans offer this. So just like we can export coffee, we are currently exporting human resource. The good thing about human resource going there, apart from the remittance that they make, apart from getting young people out of the streets to go and work in legitimate jobs, and them making remittance to their families and therefore supporting the economy, they also get exposure and get new skills out there and experiences. When they come back with new knowledge, new skills, new experiences that we will use to develop our country even better. So I would urge my friends like Simiu to join us and join the government. Is mobilizing the country to take up this opportunity. The government has also been working on ICT, in improving our connectivity, in giving young people, trainings on use of IT. There's also the Nyota program that is giving young people loans, but also going to mentor them in business. So the president is doing quite a bit, Simiu. You just need to join us in mobilizing young people all over the country to join this, take advantage of this opportunity.
I don't know whether you will have to respond.
Yes, I have to say something.
Okay.
You see, I started by saying all these programs, they are very good. They actually sound very good. But we need to understand the nitty-gritties. My friend has mentioned the Maori Road, and I want to go back to what I said in his absence. That how are we going to fund this? Because these things needs us to understand how we're going to raise money for these mega projects. What are the existing contracts? For example, as we speak, when you look at our the money we are collecting in terms of tax revenue vis-a-vis what we are using in terms of servicing the loans that we took, we remain with what cannot be sufficient to run the programs of government. And therefore, it's important that now that Joshua Nyamori is here to tell the Kenyan people and assure them that we are actually going to finance this project without raiding their pay slips further. Because if it will amount to another fund or some levy coming up again, it will be met by a lot of resistance. And I can promise that because I will be on the forefront of resisting such an initiative. You see, the issue of mentioning jobs on the affordable housing, I mentioned something very particular, and this is what the president was very equally particular about. That even us in the informal sector, the young people, you see, if the young people are being given chances to provide these building materials and be paid for it, I would like to say that. The day President Ruto launched the affordable housing in Mukuru, the following day I went there. I wanted to see if people from Mukuru are actually occupying those houses. What I found was not what we were told. You see, I have stayed in such areas. I know how people who stay in Mukuru look like. So I went to houses that had just been launched by the president. So I expect that I will not even meet any resistance going into those houses. Then I met security on the gate. They said, where are you going? I said, no, I want to see the house that the president launched. I said, no, you are not allowed, not unless you are the owner of those houses. I said, no, I'm just a member of the public who wants to know how these houses look like so that I can also develop interest in getting one. I was not allowed to enter. But the people I could establish are the people who had been given those houses, are the people who can afford life in Kileleshwa. So how are we even using affordable housing to bring dignity to the people that we intend to help? I just talked about, you see, when you are living in Mukuru, like if rent is 3,900, we have electricity charges. That house is 10-story building, which means it has a lift. So electricity charges go up. You have to pay people to collect garbage. Those people don't encounter those charges in Mukuru. They pay rent worth 2,500 and it's still a problem. So how do we make sure that even as they come into this other environment, they are able to live through it? So the issues we are having, and the biggest reason why someone like me is always asking questions, is that we have a very big gap in terms of trust between government and its people. And just like some people say it out there, is that it becomes very impossible or difficult to make a good deal from people who have no history of making any good deal anywhere. You see, that's where the problem is. And look at, I told you, look at the Mauri-Rone Road. It came the day after the by-elections. And when you look at the speeches made in that event, it's about elections. We were not told who is the contractor and how are we going to pay them. We are being told that there is some 8 shillings that we will be told. That road will be told so that we pay for it. Why? How did we get a road like Naitwaja Thika Super Highway? We are not paying anything. So what's the difference?
But you are paying on the expressway, right?
Yes, we are paying on the expressway. It's a completely different arrangement from what we are getting on Mauri-Rone Road. Yes.
Can I respond?
Okay, yeah. But kidogo tu sana, yes.
Yeah. You know, we cannot allow my friend Simiyu to mislead the public. Mukuru people are people who are used to fighting for their rights. So if there were strangers brought in to live in those houses and they continued living in shacks, Mukuru people would have been up in arms. There would have been riots. We have seen Mukuru people celebrating those houses. The issue is Simiyu was a stranger, an inciter who had gone to incite the people of Mukuru.
I had not gone to incite.
And he had no agenda there.
I just wanted to see the houses.
He was not even invited by the residents.
When I decide to go to pipeline, do I have to be invited?
One of the most important aspects of these houses is security. Just like when you go to any other gated estate, they are gated estates. That's part of dignity that is given to these people.
Yes,
that they have been brought into gated estates. If you want to go in, you need to tell people who you are visiting, and if you are not visiting any resident, then you need to demonstrate exactly what you're going to do there.
I was very particular.
Not just going to,
I told the people on the gate.
Not just going to spread propaganda.
So no, it's not propaganda.
The kind of propaganda that Simiyu is spreading now is unfortunate. But then let's go to the road. Okay, let's go to the road, because I think I've given quite a bit of information, and I would challenge him to check it on the internet or even visit any of his to confirm they are true. With regard to the road, again, I would ask Simiyu. You know, I know that he knows the truth, because he's not a man in the market. He's a very well informed, grounded. That is why I told you that I watch him. But he's decided to mislead the public. The government is using the biggest problem that we have had in this country in the last few years is, how do we continue development if development means taxing Kenyans more money? Okay? And Kenyans have said they don't want the taxes to go up. Okay? Thika Highway happened, and part of the cost of the Thika Highway are part of the things that have pushed up our debt burden and have pushed up our taxes, because we have to pay for what was used to build Thika Highway. So let Simiyu not cheat Kenyans. The Thika Highway was free. It was not free. We are paying for it, and we will pay for it for many years. So what did the president do? The president decided that he's not going to burden Kenyans. While it is critical that we do not only build roads to one part of the country, it is important to build roads to the other part of the country, and so December is coming. You will see the gridlock that will be here during Christmas on that road, and that's not just a local road. It's a transnational road. So when there's a gridlock, it's not only Kenyans who are affected. We are affecting the population of the entire East Africa. Okay, and that then depresses our ability to trade with those countries. So in terms of opening up that part of the country and giving opportunities, because roads is not just tarmac. Roads is giving opportunity to our good to reach market, giving the sick opportunity to reach hospital, giving opening up areas for other investments. The president came up with a concept of securitization, and this concept is that does somebody have money that he can come in and invest in the project through the PPP program, and in investing in those programs, the money is secured through those assets, so that they can collect their money from the use of those assets over a period of time. Okay, so the question is, where do we get this money? The government has three options. One option is to take money from the banks locally, but which is expensive. It would be very expensive. And once the government takes money from local banks, then because the government repayment is secured, banks would not be willing to give loans to Kenyans, and therefore the what is called the rates would go up.
Which is the existing.
Yes. So that was not a good idea. Okay, to do that any further. The other one is to go back and take international loans. But we have taken so much international loans that we have over the years. It's not a problem created by this government, and that would have then, pushed up our debt burden internationally, and which Kenyans do not want. So then the president realized that there is some money that is lying here. By encouraging Kenyans to save through the NSSF, and you've heard the president saying that since he came, by just talking to Parliament to increase the rate of saving, workers have been able to save much more money. The money that we have saved now is more than is double the amount that has been saved over the years, and that money does not belong to the government. It belongs to workers. So if this money is not invested, then it stays there in the account and banks use it to do their businesses. So what then is that the government has reached an agreement with NSSF that NSSF will, through a PPP program, invest in this road projects. And then once NSSF invests in these road projects, NSSF will then collect their money over the years. I think it's 30 years, and will be earning interest out of it. So the toll that we are going to pay is to ensure that the workers' money that we have borrowed is then paid. It is secure money. It ensures that the workers' money is not only secure, but it's used in a productive manner so that it earns the workers' interest, but it also ensures that the government gets resources that it can use to do projects. So it is an innovative way of investment that we should thank the president for bringing to the country. And it only had to take, and it only President William Ruto could deliver this. That is why I tell Simiyu and the rest of the people who just go about making noise against what the president is doing, is that you can criticize, but Kenyans are seeing a difference. Okay, that apart from that Rironi Mau Summit Road, there's road network being carpeted all over the country, and because of this, I can assure you that we are sure that Kenyans will again give the president a mandate, because this is what we want. And you never know, we could come together as Kenyans and say that if the president is doing such a good job, why don't we lift this two-term rule to allow the president to see?
Now that's where
if it is working well.
No. Because, we can have a scenario where one person claims to be doing everything.
I'm a student of economics, and I can tell you that all the countries that have transformed, including Singapore, would need a minimum of 25 years of consistent leadership, consistent programs. But if we are to remove the president after 5 or 10 years, and then bring the kind of villagers that we see in the opposition who understand nothing but one term, singing one term and singing Kasungu, without, they have no program, they have no thesis, they have nothing to talk about. Then what I say?
Is it well? Let me ask. These projects, once the president comes, yes, he has come up with an idea, and I want to believe that it is not just a personal idea. There are brains around whatever he's doing.
Yes.
So what is so hard, like having another person also coming in to succeed, because it was not only it wasn't a Ruto's idea, like haikuwa ni personal yake tu.
You know, we have.
Why must brains. We have somebody continuing?
Kenyans have had very good brains,
yes.
So that when you talk to Malaysia and Singapore, they tell you that part of what transformed their countries were borrowed from
Kenya.
Yes, brains, written by Kenyan brains. However, the problem that we have had in this country for a long time has been leadership. Okay, Kenyatta's government was made up of cartels that just raped this country, and said you can see the people who are in Kenyatta's government are the richest in this country. They own more than half of our economy. Then you go to the Moi government. Moi government was just a mess, and it's because Moi did not understand what needed to be done for this country. Then we brought in Kibaki, and some people celebrate Kibaki, but one of the things Kibaki did was to create a few billionaires, but most of the Kenyans were left poor. Then we brought in Uhuru Kenyatta, and don't even think he understood where he was taking the country from and where the country should have moved to. What he left the country was a mess in the economy, and we felt it in queuing for fuel, in having no maize, a terrible mess. So we have a leader who has stabilized our economy. We have a leader who has started very good work in our infrastructure. We have a leader who is giving us confidence that in a few years every Kenyan will be living in a decent house. We have a leader who has stabilized our agriculture, is assuring us, but another few years we will stop using 500 billion shillings every year to import food. That leadership should move on for a while.
The issue of stabilizing agriculture, I don't know where this concept came from, that agriculture is all about fertilizer, because I keep on thinking, is fertilizer the only thing in agriculture? And when you how has it stabilized? Because the cost of production in this sector is still high, and the kind of produce we are getting, I don't think there is any difference from what we've been experiencing in the past. We usually look at the Galana Kulalu, for example. At the time, the planting time, we are given pictures and videos of grains being grown there. But at the time of harvest, there is usually some blind spot there. And you find that in a few months' time from the harvesting period in this country, you start experiencing shortages of these grains, even from the cereal boards.
Cereal board, yes.
So where is the real problem? The problem that we have is we have people who cannot be trusted coming up with ideas and ask us to trust them. That's the biggest issue that we have.
Okay, let me challenge a point that Joshua had talked about saying that the Kenyatta's government created billionaires. And Ruto's government is trying to balance, and I think that is the reason why he came up with the bottom up. Yes. There's a report here that is saying that while Kenya's economy has grown at 5% per year over the last 10 years, nearly half of all new wealth generated went to richest 1%. So we are still talking about now. Yes.
The issue of dismantling cartels. It is not an issue that is coming to that you dismantle cartels so that then the ordinary Kenyans can benefit. You dismantle a cartel that is not helpful to you. Then you create a cartel that you are in charge of. And that's the issue that we are experiencing today. The people, the ordinary Kenyans, when we are being told percentages of economic growth, I don't know how does an economy grow without people feeling it in their own pockets. There is a problem with the disposable income, and Joshua, as a student of economy, will agree with me when I say that if the people of this country do not have disposable income in their pocket, that is what stifles circulation of money, because you do not even have enough to pay for your basic utilities over the month. And the programs that we are being told, you see, if we are having a project coming up, then one person is delivering almost everything. A company is formed today, tomorrow it's worth billions. And I can challenge Joshua to even tell us a group of young people that is making money out of supplying anything in the affordable house. You see, we are coming up with programs, yes. And sometimes a country can grow without the people feeling it. A road is being built in front of your house, but you can't feel it because, one, the person building it is not from that area. Maybe it's the Chinese. They don't even rent our houses. They build some shanties on the site. That's where they stay. Then the money they get out of building that road, they take it to their own countries. That is what happens. And we must make sure that even as we see concrete being built in terms of roads, the people can actually experience that. As I was telling you, when Zoya Sugar was working, no one was asking questions because Ken Weeders had money, Ken Carters had money, the Nyaparas were earning. So it could be a person could feed their family by just selling groundnuts.
Yeah.
Okay, since we have 23 minutes remaining. For this session, we have 23 minutes, and I still have another issue about elections. So I just give you 1 minute to finish with your submission. Then now we move to the next.
In here, I need to give information. In affordable housing, I'm an expert and a participant, a practitioner, so I have information. And then I need to let Simiu know, and you can go and check this, that in every project, it is a requirement in the tendering process, and therefore the agreements that are signed by the contractors, and it is followed up, that the developers must sign a contract with the local Juakali associations. And if you go to Kibera here, they will tell you that they have their association that has benefited, and the local MP Jalango has come out and spoken about in the Langata constituency associations that have benefited from that. If you come to Kisumu, my home, the Juakali people will tell you they are benefiting from the affordable housing projects. They're doing windows, they are doing doors, they are doing, and through that, the developers and the government is also connecting them with the financing from the financial institutions. So they are also now being connected to the financial system in the country. So it is something that is working. So I would want to discourage my brother Simiu from just dismissing and criticizing for the sake of doing that. Please check your facts. The other issue, what is the other issue that Simiu raised? You raised a second issue, Simiu, that I want to respond to. What is the last issue you raised?
Was it the road? I've talked about a lot.
About when you're saying that a road,
the cartels,
the
dismantling
of cartels.
Let me tell you, for many years we have had the cartels rule this country, and no one has been strong enough, capable enough of confronting those cartels. It is this president that has confronted those cartels and compelled them. I'll give you an example of housing sector. Okay, The housing sector, you'll find that government houses used to be built at 100,000 shillings per square kilometer. Per square meter. Okay? When in initiating the affordable housing program, the president put his foot down and told the engineers and the architects that for the tenders that are going to be given, you have a ceiling of 40,000 shillings per square meter. Okay? And anybody who is not interested should not take up these projects. Okay? Then he went to the other people who make a lot of money in construction, public construction, are the supervising consultants, the engineers and the architects, which in their normal standards charge 7.55% of the project cost. Then he told them, I'm not going to pay you that. I think he reduced it to about 2.5. And he said, you are going to earn 2.5. You can benefit from doing many projects, so you benefit from the volumes. But because this is public fund that is supposed to benefit the poor, we will depress the rates to 2.5. It is working. Initially they complained, but finally they accepted. They're working on it. That is how to deal. You see, when you want to deal with the corruption, the first thing you deal with, and you want to deal with the cartels, you deal with discretion. Okay? You put flat rates and you tell people that you cannot go beyond this. So you can play around, but you cannot go beyond this. So that is working. But this is only possible because we have a strong leader. So we need this leader to continue working for this country, to stabilize the country. When you say that a road passing through next to your door, you may not benefit from, it is a lie. Because when the road is being built, it is labor. So for the unskilled and even skilled labor, they are going to be taken. But apart from that, the road is not in terms of the labor during construction. A road opens opportunities. A road gives freedom. Because when a road is built, then, somebody like me who comes from Nyamware Beach, which is a fish landing beach, when a road is built to Nyamware, then it means my fish can move from the beach to the market. When a road is built, then an expectant lady can be able to be taken from the villages to the hospital. When a road is built, then investors can build factories because they can access their factories and take their products. Then our agriculture can move from the farms. Then we can trade for a road like the Rironi Mau Summit. If it expanded and finally it reaches Malava, and we do the railway and we do the port, where our trade with the other countries will be expanded. And when we do that, basically more employment is created. This is how employment is created. Yeah, the president is not going to employ everybody in the public service. The public service is completely filled up. We need to reduce the numbers, in fact.
Some people
I think that's fair enough. Yes, yeah. I think that's fair enough.
And ballots were audibly called out. Disputes were recorded in 10% of polling stations observed, but most were resolved at the station level. Police officers were present in all polling stations when counting commenced.
IEBC must enforce strict compliance with assisted voting procedures, including the mandatory administration and documentation of the oath of secrecy in all applicable cases, and must take decisive corrective action against any official found to have facilitated breaches of.
Well, I think you've heard that clip, and we're just going to touch on the elections, the by-elections that happened this week. And before we headed to the by-elections, of course, we had witnessed a lot of chaos and violence in some of the voting areas. I mean, the areas where the elections were to be done. We also had some of the two candidates, by the way, charged by the IEBC, and they were charged some amount there and they paid because of violence in the areas they were supposed to the areas they are vying for. So my question is, first of all, do you think that the by-elections that zimefanyika they were fair enough?
I don't know how to define fair in this context, but we have had cases where polling stations were literally kidnapped. and the people in those areas had to toe to the line of the kidnappers of the polling areas. We've had cases where you can see high-handedness from the government side. It's like it's a do or die thing. We've seen cases where money is actually splashed. An area like Mbeere North, I was in Mbeere North for some time, and even people selling muguka in Mbeere North were unwilling to go to the market because they know that when a CS shows up, he has money. When a deputy president comes, he has brought money. When a candidate comes, they have brought money. So it was about government taking charge and making sure that this is what we want and we must take it for whatever reasons. And when you look at the money spent in these areas vis-a-vis what the candidate will get in terms of salary, the math does not math. I was also in Narok on the voting day. And there is this polling station called St. Peter. We were there at around 8 p.m. at night. We had to flee for our safety. When I asked around, I was told that the goons mobilized by the area governor of Narok, who wanted his favorite candidate to win, was devising measures to make sure that his candidate wins. So, and again, my biggest lesson from this by-election, it was about two things. The people who are on the ballot, who are squaring it out, or one term versus two term. Mm-hmm. I hardly saw anyone come out to say what is their agenda, both government and the one term movement. It was about, I must take this. So it is one term versus two term, and you can see the chest thumping after the elections. That's why you see in this politics, some things you need a third eye. You see, even the launching of Mauri Road happened a day after by-elections. Okay. And I am thinking if the results of Mbeere North will have been different, I doubt if the president would have launched that road. He will have postponed it. That's what I saw from it. So going forward, and I also want to tell the Kenyan people that they need to be the Kenyan people now, very particular with what they want when it comes to voting. Because if you do not want this particular Murengo, why should their candidate get 20,000 votes if you don't like what that Murengo is doing? Aren't you giving them flying power? So as you go to vote, what are you voting for? Why did you vote for Modende? Why did you vote for Karich? What were you looking at? If they do not establish those answers, I tell them they will come here to cry again after elections of 2027.
Simiu, you keep speaking about the road. Simiu, where is your village?
I come from Bungoma.
Bungoma.
Yes.
Yeah, this road is going to help you. And this road is going to help your village mates. And so I'm not sure that you wanted them to wait till 2032 when President William Ruto will finish his term for the road to be constructed.
No. I'm not saying that I don't want roads.
Yes, the roads. Roads was critical.
The launching
and it should have even happened earlier if the program was ready to start on. Yesterday was 28th. Yes, then there's nothing wrong with that. The by-election did not stop the government from running. And in any,
bragging rights.
In any case, if you want to say that that the government planned the launch to be after the by-election, then it just means that those that were from the government were sure that we were going to win the election, and that was not in doubt. What surprises me is not that the government side won, the broad-based side won. What surprises me is that certain people were not aware and seemed to be surprised that this win was coming. Okay? This win was going to come for a number of reasons. One, that this by-election divided the country into two formations. One formation is what, Simiu calls the one term, and the other one he calls the two term. But there's a philosophical difference in these two formations. That is, in the one term group, they can only talk about one term, Kasongo must go, and that is all. In the two-term side, what we are saying is that we have a president who has stabilized the shilling. We have a president who has, improved agriculture. And he talked about how agriculture is improved. And apart from the issue of the prices of the fertilizer, we have the market that has been improved. And so if you look at
the sugar sector also part of agriculture.
I'm getting to that.
Yeah.
If you look at coffee, if you look at tea, you'll find that the farmers are now earning almost double or even more than double of what they used to earn. Go to the sugar sector. I mean, I come from Kisumu. One of our mainstays was the sugar plantation. And when the president was coming into office, the factories were burdened by debts that they owed farmers. The president ensured that this debt was paid, the debt that has been there for many years. So the farmers got back their money. And then the next issue is that the government has failed over the years to run our factories. That's why all the factories collapsed. So what did the government do? The president got into the agreement with the leasing program, so as to bring those with capacity to get in and lease those factories so that they can improve the technology of the factories. And the legal framework has been done, the agreements have been done, and the factories have been handed over to the people leasing them. So what is happening now is the factories are worked on. I am very sure that in another few months we will have the factories firing with better technology, and with better technology they will be able to produce and pay the farmers more. Part of the agreement that has been signed is to secure payment for farmers so that for whatever they'll be delivering, they will be the first to be paid, and then the staff of those factories that were not being paid regularly previously, then it is what remains that the government will split with the investors, the people leasing the factories. So that is an improvement, and so what I'm trying to say is that Kenyans definitely looked at the messaging that was going out in Malava and which is a sugar growing area, and in Mbere and in Megarini and in Kasipul and in Ugunja, and the Kenyans agreed, and that is across the country, that the people who make sense are the people who are gravitating around President William Ruto with his compelling vision of not only the better program that he promised in 2022, but his new compelling vision of making Kenya a Singapore. And that is why Kenyans voted, and Kenyans voted against division. That is why you realize that Rigiji was beaten in his own village of Mount Kenya, that he thought and bragged that he had secured against the president. That is why Matiang'i was also projected to have been, some people thought that he would be the greatest challenger to the president, was reduced to a small village in Nyamira to only deliver 3 small wards in Nyamira. That is why Kalonzo, who has been in politics since 1985, and with the party that was set up in 2005 or 2006, was only able to deliver a ward in Machakos. Basically, the message that went out there, and this was like a mini general election, was that the Kenyans have confidence in President William Ruto's leadership. Kenyans have confidence in the broad-based government. Kenyans will give President William Ruto a second term, and Kenyans have confidence in the development programs that the president is laying out.
Because of the few minutes that we are remaining with, I just urge you to give your final submissions.
My final submission.
Yes.
Even as my friend Joshua speaks, it comes out very clearly that there is a gray area between the one term and two term. That's why as a FENA party we have stood aside to watch this melee unfold. Because the question I ask, these two formations about one thing. One is about retaining power at whatever cost. The other one is about taking over power at whatever cost. But no one is actually telling us what is our problem as the people. Why is it that in the midst where we are being told there is no money to pay for examination in school, 300 billion is getting lost, the one from government bonds? Mm-hmm. No one is coming out to explain the money we are being told to go and pay the debts. What did we do with the money? With how do we move forward from this kind of life as a country? I think the two formations suffer from the same disease. And that's why I keep on saying that what is the agenda? What is issue-based? But I realize that majority of the politicians that we have cannot survive in an area where we are discussing issues and not tribes. And for us, the people who yearn to provide a different way of leadership for the country, if we are going to engage ourselves in tribal rhetoric, we have masters of tribal rhetoric. We cannot win that game. It is their leverage area. And therefore, we need to stick to the area of issues. And here, we are very clear that the battle in 2027 will be about who looks like they can deliver a country that enables the Kenyan people to enjoy both worlds.
Okay.
Because what we are seeing looks juicy on the top, but down in the soup there is some rocks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Simiyu. Thank you for your submission. Let's hear your final submission because you have 2 minutes remaining.
Yeah, my final submissions is that we are confident that Kenya is on the right path. We have a president who, has laid an economic program and as summarized in his State of the Nation address, that will focus on our education, will focus on our transportation, through road network, the railway, the ports, and that will focus on our agriculture and will focus on our energy. I want to invite all Kenyans to engage rigorously in understanding this new vision that the president laid out that will transform this country in the next 30 years, and that you should settle down to now work on this program. Tuachane na hizi kelele that the opposition are putting us on around the country, because it has been proven that Kenyans are not interested in that kind of noise, and I want to inform them and assure them that if they think that there will be any change of the leadership in this country in the near future, they are misguided. We have a program to deliver, we have a vision to achieve, we will work at it, and we are working on a minimum of 30 years program. So they should be ready that the President William Ruto's vision will actually guide this country for the next 30 years. On how we are going to do that beyond 2032, I am sure we will engage in as a country, but all cards are on the table. Those cards include even removing if they are too scared about 2027, they should even be more scared that as a nation we may even decide to remove the 2-term rule in the constitution to give the president another 10 years to lead the program.
Thank you, George, for your submission. Joshua, sorry, for your submission and for coming. Thank you, Joachim, for coming and for your submissions. So to the listener, this is the Generation Report that runs from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And right about now, we are going to have some young men also. We also want to hear their perspective about what is happening in the country right now. So do not go far. We will be right back.
It's 9 o'clock.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul.
Because our constitution decrees that elections must be free from harassment, violence, intimidation, and of course malpractices such as bribery. And so when we received reports from Kasipun that there have been instances of chaos and violence, we did constitute the Election Code of Conduct Enforcement Committee, and that committee summoned all the concerned candidates to appear before that committee, and that committee completed that process successfully. As you are aware, the commission did fine those candidates 1 million each, which they did pay, failure to which that could have led to their disqualification. So I'm glad the two candidates cooperated. They paid their fine on time. They also signed a political decency and peace and peaceful elections charter. And we believe, as of now, they are still abiding by that pledge, and of course by the code of conduct.
Kwa niaba ya Ugunja constituency ningependa kusema kwamba tuko tayari kabisa, na bila shaka hatuna jambo lolote ambalo tunaweza sema kwamba limeleta mushkili aina yoyote. Kwa wakati huu tunawatuma maafisa zaidi ya 232 na hawa wote ndio watakuwa wakiwahudumia wana Ugunja, na ni matarajio yetu kwamba kaaji wote wa Ugunja constituency bila shaka watajitokeza ili waweze kuhakikisha kwamba wamemchagua kiongozi ambaye atawaongoza.
Hawa wakubwa wa security tulifanya kazi na wao wengi na tunawajua vizuri sana. The Inspector General of Police Mr. Kanja, unajua kuna namna ya kuendesha watu namna hii na ushenzi, anapo wanafikiri hivyo ndivyo nchi inapaswa kuendeshwa. Wakenya hawezi kukubali maneno kama haya, na tusiharibu nchi yetu kwa sababu ya siasa duni na mambo ya pesa na upumbavu kama huo.
So I'm asking Bonnie, he's my good friend by the way. Bonnie is one of my mentors in politics. In fact, I will work to test him. Aende atukue tikiti ya DCP asimame. Ni DCP ama ni DAPK? Yeah, DAPK asimame. Tujaribu. Sasa kiende akachukue DCP asimame. We are ready for this by-election. Sini kupimana nguvu. They are bidding their time, wanting us to negotiate with them. Some of them, you are saying that they are willing to talk to William Ruto because they think they are kingpins of their region.
We have had no incidents. There have been small issues of the machines not working, the fingerprints not picking up. Myself, I had my fingerprint. I had to repeat it twice or thrice. But apart from that, we have no issues of violence. We have no issues of other, issues that are not conducive to this environment.
Nobody is going to be denied his opportunity to choose his leader. If the fingerprints don't work, then there are alternative methods of voting. There are alternative methods of identification that can be done. And our officers in the field, the POs and everybody, the presiding officers and the clerks, everybody is quite familiar on what steps to take as and when the system does not work properly. But by and large, 99% of the system is working perfectly well.
Sasa hakuna msukumano hapa na pale. Naona sasa unapiga kura, unatoka unaenda kufanya shughuli yako. Naomba wenye wako nyumbani saa hii watoke kwa wingi, wakuje wapige kura ili tumalize mapema, ndio vizuri. Polisi wanafanya kazi mzuri, hawasumbui wananchi, wako sawa sawa, wametulinda, hakuna shida. Nimepata usaidizi mzuri sana, nimehudumiwa vizuri, hakuna kelele.
My name is Makasodo. I just entered about 10 minutes ago. I voted, so I cannot speak of any delays or anything because I voted. I've just entered, I've voted. I cannot say I'm handled bad because I've just entered and voted. Everything is okay. Maybe people are not coming. There's no crowd here. I was expecting to get a crowded line, but there's nobody around. But I just entered and voted.
Mimi jambo la kwanza kwa IBC, nataka vile hiyo jina yao iko, nataka ikuwe free and fair, isiegemee upande wowote. Wacha yule wapiga kura wamempigia kura atangazwe mshindi.
Nimefika around 8:15 and actually voting is going on well, even though the turnout is low. The process is very okay. I have not noted any anomaly, and actually the public, the Arab people around have kept distance. They are away.
Choices elected to represent them. I want to assure those voting in this electoral area that from the agencies I've talked to, there is sufficient security deployed and people should not act in any fear. They should go and vote and go home to wait for the results that will be announced after tallying. This is after the stations are closed at 5.
This week, power was tested in the corridors of leadership, economies shook under pressure, and the voices of ordinary citizens demanded to be heard. From breaking decisions in high office to protests in the streets, from moments of triumph to tragedies that stopped us in our tracks. These are the headlines that shaped our week. And beyond the noise, we search for what really matters, the connections, the context, the stories behind the stories. Introducing Patricia Wayoa, and this is your weekly news roundup on Radio Generation, where every headline has a heartbeat and every moment counts.
And we are now on our last hour, tuko kwa hour yetu ya mwisho kabisa hapa hivi tunamaliza. And what is interesting right now as you listen to the Generation Report is that there's something that Joshua has just said in the previous hour, or talked of who knows, it might be forever term. Yeah, it's something that has really caught my attention. Forever. It's really caught my attention. And yes, I have a young men here, not really that young, but they are leading the young people, the youth, in their different capacities. So they are going to introduce themselves so that now we can get into the last round of this review, so that now we can look at majorly in this how we are going to look at the young people in politics. And we are talking of, we want to see like what did they take out of these by-elections that we just witnessed the other day. What did they take out of that, and maybe what plans are the young people having for the future 2027, because what we have just had here and what we witnessed this week is quite I don't know how to explain it, but it's eye-opening. It's something that people really need to learn from, and as we move forward. So I'm going to introduce to you one engineer. Gichue is going to introduce himself further, and also Davis. He has always been with us here in Radio Generation, that is on this same show. So they are going to introduce themselves and tell us what they were doing this week and maybe what they have learned, and is it that we've been able to see what the Gen Z, the young people revolution that we witnessed. I want to, maybe they can tell us whether they have experienced that this week. Karibu.
Thank you very much. My name is Gishane Mwangi, engineer Gishane Mwangi from Kiambu. I'm a youth leader from Kiambu. Yeah, and around this week I've been following up on the by-elections, and I've learned quite a lot of things. And the one thing that was constant is that the politics of yesteryears are still very, very active. at this given moment. Because if you look at those by-elections, the voters are the same who voted for the current ruling party we have. So expecting them to change their minds, and one, civic education has not been done properly to educate them why they should not vote for this person, or why they should not vote for this party. Because if you look at the by-elections, they were just parties against parties. It's either you're in the one term or in the two-term brigade, which was UDA or United Opposition. But if you look at it very critically, the candidates that were being presented there, it was between this evil and this other evil. That is what was coming out.
Which is better?
Now you stick with the evil, you know. That is what happened, and that is what we saw. The people stuck with the evil they knew. And that is the problem we are having right now. Because trying to get the people out of that is a very, it's a very big mountain to climb. But I am very hopeful. Maybe there is something we didn't see. There is something we didn't see.
You know, one thing, I've always waited for the Gen Zs, the young people, to surprise me. But Bado, they are not surprising us.
Weren't you surprised?
Anyway, yes, by the way, okay, maybe the kind of surprise I was expecting from the young people is not what I have received, but they have surprised me anyway. Yeah, so let's hear what Davis has to say.
Thank you so much, Tricia, for hosting me again this evening. My name is Davis Oluwash. I'm the rapporteur of the ODM Youth League. I help the Youth League in doing research and coming up with its policies. About the by-elections that have just ended, I think the young people have not found the alternative yet. There is no political party or an institution or a politician that inspires the young people, that gives them a higher purpose, a higher calling. This is where our country is. This is where our country came from. This is where we want our country to go. So we are still lacking that politician. We are still lacking that political party. That is speaking insofar as a young person or young people are concerned. But I think there are some gains, because I think the Orange Democratic Movement Party has a Gen Z, as a member of parliament in Kasipul, a young man who is 27 years old. That is my age mate. I can also say that in Malava, there was a candidate, a Gen Z candidate, like before the nominations, the UDA nominations, the son for, I think, Malulu Injendi. We had young candidates in the MCA positions, but most of them then did not succeed. But Tricia, I want to admit that we still have a long way to go if we want like the changes that we craved for dearly in the year 2024 to be operationalized. We still have a long way to go. We still have sacrifices to make. We still have mobilizing to do. We still have a lot to do, Tricia. That one I must admit. Yes.
Okay, so he said that he has learned a lot from this by-election. Maybe one of the reasons, lessons that you've learned?
One of the lessons, and it's a very big lesson, that the people need to do more civic education. And I'm talking about the young people themselves. They need to have a reason to come out and say, one, we are not going to be led down into a war path by a party that is not supporting us, that is not issue-based. We need to, what can I call it? We need to mobilize ourselves as the young people. Because if you see, at those in all those places where we had by-elections, the turnout of the young people was so low. And it also turns out that even in the registration of people in the IBC, it's still the same. It is very low. Why? Because we have not gotten that clarion call yet. That person who will say, no, this is the way we need to go. For the youth, this is the way we need to go. Because if you look at it, if you look even at the United Opposition, as we call it, look at the heads, look at the principles. these are the same people, right? You say you're listening to the young people who came out last year to protest, but still they have not been included there. Where you include them on lesser, what can I call them? Tables, capacities.
Yes.
You're on the dining table, but you're giving them the coffee table. Why can't you bring them in there? And if that is not the case, we the young people should come out and say, we are done with this. We are done with this, because I do not see how these political parties are helping the young people. Because one, they are not doing enough civic education to the people on the ground. Instead of coming and telling us, oh, join my party, join my party, join my party, you should be asking that person, before you join my party, are you a registered voter? This is what it means for you to be a registered voter. This is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to change, by first of all being a registered voter. Then we can talk about you coming to my party. But no, it's the other way around. Join my party first, and then we'll tell you where to go.
But let me ask you, whose problem is that? Whose problem is that? Because I want to believe that when the young people went to the streets in 2024, they said that nobody led them to the streets. It is their realization of what was eating them up. Like, they realized that this is not the life that we really wanted from this government. This is not what we deserve as the young people. So if they decided to go to the streets, they went by their own volition, right?
Yes.
So the question would be, why would they want people to come and tell them now, when you go and vote, you will be able to change while themselves they went to the streets like last time, protesting against the finance bill, which they felt that hii inatufinya, hii tunaenda kuwekewa taxes on whatever we are doing on digital spaces, tunaenda kufanyiwa hivi.
You see, there is something we call divide and conquer, right? Now, when we went to the streets, we went to the streets as one, a collection of the youth, right? It didn't matter which political party you came from. It was one. Now, you have people who have infiltrated this movement, right? They come from different parties. Now they want to get large numbers into their own parties. What do? They start wooing the small people here and there, here and there, here and there. And you see, the problem with political parties is that they have power, which is money. And people right now, the young people, and you could see it, people are being given handouts. Yeah, you're telling me that even in the by-elections, that the one I was actually following very much and closely, the Mbere one, you're telling me you're going to give people scuba wiki and tea leaves, and they are still going to vote for your candidate, where else you have schools that are made of mud. Like, do you see where people are coming from? We have not gotten there yet. We haven't gotten there yet. And I don't know if it's the woke people who went to the streets who are like, no, apana, let us relax. This is not our war yet. Let us wait until 2027. Let us see if these people were listening to us, really listening to us. If they were not, well then, we shall surprise them.
Davis, what is your submission on that?
Trisha, I think the last time I was here, we really argued about something as proposed by the former Prime Minister, the national dialogue. You see, in 1963, people there, the Jaramogis, the Jomo Kenyattas, the Dedan Kimathis, they knew what they wanted. They wanted freedom of land. They wanted their land and now freedom, the human rights. And they knew it. They went to the bush and they fought. And one day, the Union Jack was lowered and the national flag, the green, white, black and red, was hoisted at Uhuru Gardens. And we had our national anthem. And today we have a black president and a black parliament and a black judiciary. There was clarity in what they were fighting for. In 1982 or in the 80s and in the early 90s, there was clarity. The Raila Odingas, the James Orengos, the Martha Karuas, the Gitobu Imanyaras, the Koigi Wamweres, they knew what they were fighting for. They wanted multi-party democracy. And today, my brother is from Jubilee, I'm from ODM, courtesy of multi-party democracy, the repeal of Section 2A. In the early 2000s...
I didn't say I was from Jubilee.
In the early 2000s, we were making stories behind the scenes. In the early 2000s, they knew what they were fighting for. They wanted a new constitution. Because now, there was the old constitution, the 1960 constitution that Moi had used and everyone Kenyatta had used. And now they wanted a progressive constitution. And I can tell you, in August 27th, the year 2010, we promulgated a new constitution. And today we have EACC, today we have devolution, today we have everything. We have a new constitution.
A lot was born out of that constitution.
A lot was born out of that constitution.
Yes.
Then came 2024. We went to the streets that remove the finance bill, but then after that we lost it, and now everyone had a specific issue. You will ask my brother, he'll tell you a different issue. You'll ask me, I'll tell you a different issue. Trisha will come up with a different issue. We did not know the exact things we were fighting for. We did not know. I'm not lying to you. So that today, if you go to someone and ask you what is it that you are crying about in this country, someone will tell you corruption, someone will tell you bad governance, someone will tell you gender-based violence, and others. And that's why the former Prime Minister proposed that we have a national conversation bringing together everyone from every sector, everyone from every region, diverse religions, so that we can know what is really ailing this country. Where have we come from since 1963? Where are we currently? Where do we want to go in another 20 or 30 years? And you see, Trisha, now where we are losing it, and that's why you see lethargy in elections, is because there's no clarity, there's no inspiration. We don't have a higher calling. We don't have something we are aiming at. So that you listen to Maraga, there's no one thing you can point that Maraga is calling us unto. That people of Kenya, this is how I want Kenya to be. There's no one thing Matiang'i is calling us unto, that people of Kenya, I want to be the president of Kenya so that I can get Kenya out of this to this place. There's nothing that Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka is calling us unto. There's nothing that Rigathi Gachagua is calling us unto. In fact, the only person who is now coming up with something is President Ruto. I'm not lying to you. President Ruto is saying that I want to remove this country from a third world country to a first world country. That is something you look unto. Like, I don't care. Like what I'm saying, I don't care if Ruto is lying. I don't care if he's not lying. But he is inspiring us unto something that can we actually remove this country from third world country to first world country. We can disagree on very many other things. We can disagree on how to get there. But Trisha, I can tell you, that is what everyone wants. We actually want to be a first world country. We actually want first world education, first world healthcare, first world roads, first world media, first world entertainment. We want first world everything. So at least Ruto is giving us something to hope to. All these other people, and that's why I loved Baba, and I really felt bad when Baba died, because Baba had solutions. You will hear his speech today. He'll tell you that we don't want now devolution. We want now devolution to be done like this. We don't want this to be done like this. We want it to be done like this. Baba had solutions. Even if people opposed the solutions, he at least had solutions. He will tell you that, okay, let us come up with NADCO so that we solve the issues of IBC, so that we solve issue of job and of unemployment, so that we solve issues of this CDF. He knew the problems and he had the solutions. Nobody in the opposition is calling us into the solutions. And I can tell you, what has dominated the opposition, the United Opposition campaign trail is, of course, one term, of course, Kasongo, of course, of course, that is their biggest agenda. Like, I really love politics of agenda. Can we have something? I disagree with President Ruto in a lot more things. In fact, in 90% of the things, I disagree with President Ruto. Even today, I still believe that the Orange Democratic Movement Party should field a presidential candidate who can compete with the United Opposition and President Ruto. So I think there's, Trisha, in a nutshell, we don't have someone, an institution or a politician who gives us something to inspire. or to have aspiration towards. Yes.
A lot of analysts have come out and challenged what most of these projects that the president is launching, saying that these are projects that are launched. They will be launched here, and they will not. The next 2 years, nothing will be working, nothing will happen. For example, we've had roads that have been launched before, not only by Ruto's government, but even by other governments. But later on, the roads are still there, never done, nothing has been done. So, again, why I hear people complain a lot, especially about the many pledges, the promises that the president is giving, and then now people are asking, okay, how are we going to make this work? Where are we getting money from? You get. Yes. So I think those are some of the things that is making people somehow lose the track, because yes, they are saying this person is giving us hope, right? Is giving us hope, but this hope never seems to materialize.
I agree with you. That's why I said I disagree with President Ruto 90% of the time. In fact, running into 2022, when we're going into the elections, if someone gives you President Ruto and someone give you former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, I disagreed with President Ruto 90%, because these are people who've been in politics for like 30 years. And then for you to get into an election and we're going to elect someone, you must ask yourself, which positions have they held before? And then you say, President Ruto has been a Minister for Agriculture, President Ruto has been Member of Parliament, President Ruto has been even a youth leader. And in all these ministries he's held, he's not performed well. And now he wants to be president. And then you'll ask, Prime Minister Raila Odinga has been this and this and this. And in all these positions, we can see some tangible things. We've seen Constitution, we've seen Thika Superhighway, and blah, blah, blah. Now, that is why I disagreed with President Ruto. He has a lot of pledges that most of the time, he doesn't satisfy those pledges. Number two, there are very many scandals that have surrounded President Ruto before he became president. In the Ministry of Agriculture, in the Ministry of Higher Education, as a Member of Parliament, and even in ICC. Some of the witnesses of ICC, we don't know where they are. So those are some of the fundamental issues that made me disagree with President Ruto. But I do not understand, because I want to give President a benefit of the doubt in this issue of getting Kenya from
where we are
third to the first world.
Yes,
and I want to take him in notice. And in fact, I'm really specific about the road is recently launched, and I'm also looking forward to this SGR from Nairobi to Malaba. If he actually manages to do that, we can now start having a conversation about President William Samoei Ruto. About money, Tricia, I think that's why the former Prime Minister, before he died, in one of his last speeches, he talked about the PPP, the public-private partnerships, that today we cannot go out and borrow, today we cannot overtax. So how then do we develop our country? So then he said that if there's an organization somewhere that has money, that has resources, they can come in and help us build that project, and then they can get money from that project in its initial stages, then hand it over to the government or to the people of Kenya. So those are some of the ways that I think President Ruto is leveraging on in terms of developing the nation. Yes.
Well, Joachim was here. And you talked about the road to Singapore, or the road to Malaysia, kind of, or the road to the first world class as a country is not an easy one, and you will not just wake up and find yourself in Malaysia, that state of Malaysia, right? Yes. It's something that you're starting from somewhere. And me, I challenged him, and I'm like, I have seen the president launching different kind of projects. I have seen the president pushing for us to industrialize the country, to industrialize. I have seen the president with the will. First of all, it is the will. Are you willing to go there? So, but him, he has really challenged that thought, saying, yes, you are talking of industrialization. What do we have?
exactly. What do we have?
What do we have? We've talked of, when we talk of that road, we are talking of issues to do with agriculture. We are talking of issues to do with a stable economy, because it is the economy that is going to take you there. We are talking of employment, such things.
Sure.
But now, when you look at what has been happening, every now and then, now the government is giving out reports. This is where we are as a country, but people cannot feel this. I gave them an example of that report, which is showing that 1% of Kenya's billionaires, forms 1% of Kenya's population forms the 78% of billionaires in the country. 1% of the population accounts for the 78% of billionaires in the country, and we are talking of so many Kenyans living below 130 the dollar
poverty level.
Yes, poverty level. They are living at $1 per day.
Below.
Yes, consuming below $1 per day, consuming that. Then now we ask ourselves, so the road to Singapore, with only 1% of the people calling themselves billionaires or having that purchasing power. Because when you talk of money, we talk of the purchasing power.
Yes.
So if you don't have money, you do not have that purchasing power. So now I want to maybe understand, or make me understand. You make me understand because I'm still at.
I do not foresee that road happening anytime soon. And let's start by the road he launched recently. As soon as he launched it, there was a certificate of is it called emergency or something filed in the court to stop that
injunction. Yes.
There was one. Why? Because it doesn't have money for this project. So what I think, in my own opinion, is you're taking from one pocket, putting it into the other pocket. I'm giving you a road, but then I go behind the other side and I stop it because I do not have the money. Now look at what he was calling the infrastructure fund, 5 trillion. How much is our budget? How much is our budget in Kenya? How much debt are we going to pay next year? Around 1.7 something trillion, right?
Yes.
So you're telling me you're going to pay a loan for 1.7 trillion and you have a budget for doing development for 5 trillion. Where are you getting the deficit? So assume you have the 5 trillion, right? Then you pay a loan of 1.7. So you are left with 3 point something. So is that even enough? Then again, you're talking about people being below the wage bill. This is evident because the projects we are having are not impacting the society, the people at the ground level themselves. Now you'll find we've done housing, right? How many people have we employed? How many people have we touched? The government will come around and throw numbers, 400,000, 600,000. But let me ask you a question. How many engineers do you need in one project? How many masons do you need to bring that flat up? Because you're not going to do 400,000 people at once. No. This work is gradual. For each and every other step, you go for one floor, maybe you have 50 people, right? Then after that one floor is done, you go get another 50 people to do the interiors. Now these other 50 go up there. So on a maximum, it's either you can have 150 maximum in a project or 200. So where are we getting these numbers? So and you're telling me that you're going to come back and tell me, we have employed people. How many people have been employed? And when you come at it, we graduate university, so many people in an year.
True.
More than in thousands, right? We have doctors. We have nurses. We have hospitals. Right now, we've just come from Kiambu doctors strike. You see? Why are they striking? Do they have a conducive environment to work? Do they? We are graduating teachers, Do we have enough classrooms? Have we employed enough teachers, even if we are graduating them? All these people cannot go to work in those houses. Housing, whatever it is called, they cannot go to build roads. We are not all contractors, because even these roads we are talking about that are going to be constructed, these roads are going to be given to Chinese people, right? Now come to the housing, whatever they are called. Who are the contractors? How many projects does one contractor have?
You might have several.
Because
Because of course they are not constructing 2 houses. There are many houses they are constructing.
Exactly. Now that is where we are going.
But let me ask you, as a young man, do you think that the government will be able to employ all of you as you clear your university, and now the government is here ready to employ you?
Not employ us. Make it conducive for us.
Now another question is because I see every time the president tries to do something, there is an objection.
Like,
because I want to understand, now he has constructed roads for you people.
Roads are good.
There is already that court injunction, right?
Yes.
You just talked about it here. Yes. We have also seen every time he wants to do something, mtu amekimbia kotini, si ndio? So I want to understand, how are we able to take a charge of the country if maybe every step you want to make, people come and object?
First of all, I do not think we did a feasibility study about these houses to a point that we decided we are going to build for people. Do you understand? We are not building for civil servants. We are building for people. Affordable houses, right? How affordable is that house?
Joshua was here and he talked and he said that looking at the market rate, the houses are a bit affordable. By the if you look at depending on which area, because also it depends with where location. Looking at some of the houses, a house that maybe in the market rate will go for a 13 million. With the government, the ones that we are talking about. In a cost around 6 million. Yes, now, a cost that which.
Let me break it down for you. 6 million, right? This, you're living in a flat, right? You have other people there.
Yes.
It's a storied building, right? Now, take this 6 million. You're given that 6 million for you. Go buy a plot somewhere, right? 1 or 2 million. Build your house with that 4 million. What do you have? You have a very big compound for your own self and for maybe your kids and everything else.
For you, you know what the government was making it a bit easier, according to how I understand. It was making it a bit easier for people to be able to buy these affordable houses. From what I mean, from my level of understanding, because I tried following up. So, if right now, as a young person, you may not have the 6 million cash.
Yes.
The bank you may not be having enough to secure a loan from the banks, so you cannot have that 6 million. So assuming you've gone there and taken that the affordable house, which you'll be paying pole.
How many young people have afforded to go and take those affordable houses? They are paying pole. One, mind you, right now where we are in this economy, most of the youth are jobless, right? Even those the ones who are actually working right now. Some are not even working. Some have been laid off. And we have seen this since this government came into power. So many companies have closed shop and shifted. People have been laid off. So how do you expect those people to buy these houses? Was affordable housing a necessity?
A priority?
Was it? Not even a priority, a necessity.
It is.
Where?
No. Affordable housing, it's a necessity.
Where? Are you going to tell me that in Kisumu it's a necessity?
It is.
In Bondo, uko ndani?
No, okay, let me say this, Tricia. Of course, even if you look at the Azimio manifesto, affordable housing is there. But I also disagreed with how the implementation of the affordable housing thing. Because then currently, Tricia, you are paying rent somewhere, or I'm paying rent somewhere. Then you are deducted also in your salary. So that is double deduction. You're paying rent
and you're being deducted.
You're being deducted. Then, after the house has been built by the deduction, you are also supposed then to pay again for that affordable housing. So it is now triple taxation. So it's either ingekuwa you be taxed, but then after they have been built, you have now been given houses for free, or they get money from where they can get it from. They build the houses, then they tax you. So to that extent, I disagreed with affordable housing. But the need for housing, Tricia, just go to here in Kibra and see how people live. It is indignity. Those are not even slab.
Now,
so that's number one.
Let me ask you a question.
I was silent when you were speaking. Number two, Tricia, I want you, and I like my brother. He's very articulate, but he's a pessimist. And I can tell you for a fact, and that's why I told you young people are tired, because my brother comes here and he articulates everything so well, but on the negative, he tells you that this affordable housing, this education, blah blah blah, this. He looks at now the negative side, but he will not tell you that as a political party, this is what is in our manifesto. If you get power, this is how we will implement the affordable housing. This is how we are going to implement education. This is how we are going to implement devolution. That one inspires us to something. But if you're telling us that this affordable housing, how many youth are employed there? How many are not employed there? You're depressing us, my brother. We are already depressed. So I think, Tricia, my brother should tell us what they are building in their manifesto, or even if he says this is bad, he should tell us that now as a political party, this is how we feel this should be implemented. This is our roadmap towards this. This is our strategy to funding education. This is our strategy to funding the roads. Or this is what we as a political party is giving out in terms of the Rironi Mau Summit Road. Not all the time, this is bad. Tell us some of the solutions. Let us start with affordable housing.
First of all, I didn't say I'm in a political party. Let me make that clear. Even being an independent candidate or being an independent is still a political party, right?
So that independent political party, what are the manifestos?
Thinking. We are not thinking about. Oh, it's a collective. Oh, if we get there, we want to do this. No, it's very simple. It's very, very simple. You're taxing people, the way he has said. You're triple taxing people. Why? You're triple taxing people who cannot afford to build even those houses because they are renting. And then you want to sell them, to sell that piece of whatever it is, a condo or whatever, a unit, back to them, and you've already taxed them, right?
But let me ask,
that is not a solution. What you should do, stop taxing people. You see, even before the previous government we had housing, also, right? It had housing, but it was not taxing people. Right, and I think it was systemic. They were going to roll out houses for civil servants. Once they are done with that, they come to the other people who are working. Now the affordable houses, right? And it worked because I have seen them.
I think if you were listening to Joshua Nyamori, the governance expert who was here, he sits in the board for the housing. And he has articulated the whole issue of the houses very well, by the way, and saying that the approach that they had used, that the previous governments had used, failed. Yes, failed. And that's the reason why now they had to come up with the strategy that they are using right now. It failed because...
in government, right?
Yes, because he said...
Good.
Yeah.
No, you cannot say that somebody in government is going to say that the other project succeeded. No, they are going to say that one failed. That is why you are using this one.
Of course, but I actually tend to believe in whatever he said in terms of the failing of the other strategies, because we've seen before our fathers, our great grandfathers who were able to get these government houses, and we saw how it ended. Unajua mpaka sasa hivi others wanavurushwa kwa nyumba mpaka wa leo. They have failed to pay like kitu ambao walikuwa wanafaa kulipa hata 1,000 shillings ama 1,800. They never paid.
Are we talking about?
We're talking about the houses.
The previous regime, the Moi regime, the Kibaki regime, or are we talking about the regime of Uhuru Kenyatta, where he built housing for civil servants? Which one are we talking about? Because
we are talking of all of them combined, because the goal is the goal is housing people, giving people houses.
Yes.
And now, because those others were not affordable as much, and not every other person could afford. That's the reason why they ended up with this.
With this one.
Yes. And now the approach of ensuring that these houses are constructed and that these houses are paid, that's why he talked of the approach that they are using currently.
But why would they not use the PPP?
Because let me ask you, for example, if right now you are talking of you've been given a house right now, a 6 million house, and you're earning like a 50,000. We said that the deduction is 1.5%. How much is that?
Of 60,000.
Can that really of 50,000? Can that really build a house for you?
No, it can't.
It can't. You get?
It can't.
Yeah, that's why you've heard him talk of them seeking for finances from the NSSF. Although I had questions about you going to, because this NSSF money has been deducted for people.
What I don't agree, and I will not agree, is the triple taxation. That one, it can't be justified. Because you see, people are pooling. You see, this is a pooling of resources. Because if you deduct everyone who is working, that 1.5% of any amount you are earning as a salary, there's a lot of money. And that's why even healthcare, if everyone is deducted, healthcare should be provided to everyone. Because kuna watu wakui wagonjwa at the same time.
At all time, yes.
At the same time. So that if everyone is pooling that resource, then kwa wale wanakuwa wagonjwa at that specific time, that resource that has been pooled should be able to help them. So the justification of the triple taxation, that one I don't agree with it. But what I have to admit, Tricia, is that we see the houses, really. We actually see them. You talk up sometimes, unaenda Thika, you see them in Ruiru, you see them in Thika. Hizi yanasema za Uhuru, and I liked Uhuru so much.
The arrangement was different.
I liked Uhuru so much.
But they are there.
But I don't see them.
You don't see them. Come to Kiambu. Actually.
Okay, let me finish.
Yes.
But Tricia, about affordable housing, until I see Kibra rebranded and resettled, people living in Kibra, then at that time I will be convinced that affordable housing is working. Until I see people in Madari, people in Korogocho, until I see those informal settlements down, then I'll be convinced that the affordable housing is working. Yes, to that extent.
We have come too far with this discussion, and there's we're talking about elections and the young people. Yes. So I don't know whether you submit your submission yako, then now we get back to the topic.
Oh yes.
We are still in the topic anyway.
I was telling him, if he has not seen the houses who built, there are some in Machakos, there are some in Kiambu. You can come, take a look at them, and you'll see them. It worked. What I'm saying, they were built, right?
Even in Langata.
But what I do not agree with is you're taking money from people and then reselling the same houses you built with your own money back to them. Because you're not going to tell me that this 1.5 you're being deducted is the one that is going to give you that one bedroom was 6 million.
No, you will pay. You'll also have to pay. You'll add. You have to. But they said, I remember them saying that 1.5 is also included there. Is part of the money that will be reduced from your total cost of that house.
Have you gone to that Nini? That Boma Nini?
I have. I've even booked.
You've done the down payment. You've done the down payment.
Yes.
Good. How much was it?
Depends with the house that the unit that you've picked. It's usually 10%.
A decent unit.
10%. You take 10% of that.
So if it's 6 million, 10%, that is 600,000.
So let me ask you, and you are earning 50,000.
Right.
How would you raise that?
Right.
600,000.
Right.
If
then
you're being
again-
deducted only 1.5%,
But then
are
again-
you getting the point?
I am getting the point, but then again, you said it's about the locality, the vicinity,
True.
about where people have raised the market rates.
Mm.
But then again, you go to other places, the same deductions, you're not going to be told that we deducted you more. No. But anyway, what you're saying is that thing was... What was in my mind is you should scrap away that...
the deduction.
The deduction. If it's going to be there, take it somewhere else. Take it to healthcare or education. Right now, our education system is at the gutter. Take it there.
Your submission is fair.
Take it.
I think that's all I would say about it. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, so getting back to the youth and the politics, because this segment we are going to dedicate it to the youth and politics, but to see, I mean, what the youth have in terms of politics. And you guys, you say that of course each and every one of you is representing a certain section of young people, maybe in an area or in a political party. And I heard you talk of saying that these leaders, they've taken the topmost positions and giving the young people these positions that do not amount to, they do not have that much influence into the party and so forth. I don't know whether it is the same view that Davis has.
Yes, and I think it is everywhere. I think, Tricia, if you grew up, let's say in early 90s or late 90s or in the early 2000s, and you're somewhere in 2050, and you're the president, most of the people you will employ are your age mates, the people you grew up with, the people you bonded with. Those are the people you know. That's the caliber of people most of the time you know. At the same time, I think the young people have been discriminated for a very long time. And it is fear of the unknown, of the not so young people who are in politics. They feel that the young people have the energy and the vibrancy. And then when they come into a room, they will be overpowered. So most of the time, what we call gatekeeping, they block you by the gate before you even get into the compound, and your presence is felt or your energy is felt. So that is what happens most of the time. And I agree with my brother to an extent that they also use divide and conquer. They know that the young people are very many in number. So what they do is that they tell my brother that Davis is wrong, anakusanganya hivi, usikae na yeye, yule pia anakusanganya hivi, huyu pia. So that tunaanza kugombana. Third is the unity of purpose. We've not had a common purpose as a generation, a purpose that binds us. And we are fighting so many wars in very many fronts. And you look at Jubilee, of course he said that he's not from Jubilee, so let me just say Jubilee. Jubilee at one point had two young youth leaders. It was my friend Advice Mudalo and Angel Mbudhia. You look at a students' caucus union, it's called KUSO. KUSO at some point had three leaders. They had Manyara at some point and Fikrini Jacobs at some point, and three people leading KUSO. So there's a desegregation, there's division in the youth caucuses. We started something called Interparties Youth Forum, a caucus that brings together all youth leagues. Then in a few weeks, another front of Interparties Youth Forum came in. So we had two Interparties Youth Forum. So today, Tricia can tell you, there are very many youth caucuses around the country that speaks different things. And they meet different kind of leaders, and leaders buy them. They are given tokens, and now they speak the language of the leaders. So we don't have unity of purpose as a youth caucus. We don't have finances, Tricia, so that when you want to run a campaign of a member of parliament or a governor, and you are asked that you must have, your campaign manager tells you that you must have 50 million for you to produce posters, have logistics, buy agents, then 90%, as we have said earlier, don't have that kind of money. In fact, 99% of young people cannot get that amount of money. So you find out that in the representative, in the houses of parliament and in the gubernatorial offices, The not so young people are there in those offices. And who do they employ? They employ the people they grew up with. They employ their village mates, and then young people are still somewhere around there. But I think it is time we stop agonizing and maybe start organizing. And Trisha, I think it's time we focus on our strength as a youth. Trisha, if you went to business school, there's something called SWOT analysis: strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Yes.
We need to know our strength as a youth. We have the numbers, we have social media, we have the energy, we have the charisma. Can we focus on our strengths and beat the old guards or the not so young people in this game of politics, so that when they come with money, we come with energy? When they beat 2 doors in a day, we beat 5 doors in a day, so that at the end of the day, we are either equal in 2027 in terms of numbers in parliament, or we are slightly above them. Yes.
Okay.
I totally agree with what he has said. We the youth have the capacity, and what we need is to mobilize ourselves. And in that mobilization, we should do better than the older generation. You see, why they are gatekeeping is because they do not want to move out of that situation. What we should do in turn is not fear the younger generation that will come after us. We should mold them, nurture them, and mentor them. And that is something we have lacked in our generation and the generation that is older. Because you find the millennials who are close to the other party were not even mentored themselves. And if they were mentored, it is 1 or 2 who are still now there gatekeeping for the old guards. No, we need to open it up. We need to be at a place whereby we do not fear. We are collaborating with each and every other person.
Okay.
Because ideas can flow from the youngest person or the oldest person. Whether if it's a good idea, it can come from anywhere. So yes.
Do you believe the elections that were done the other day, the by-elections, were free and fair?
It did not start from that election. We have had, the elections were chaotic. That's what I can say. There were voter bribery, a lot of violence, and they were not free and fair to some extent. But it is not that it was only in this by-election. It has been there all along. And the Orange Democratic Movement has been one of the victims of election bribery and fraud. So I think generally, Trisha, we must start a conversation around elections. And if possible, we need to demonetize politics, so that a member of parliament don't have a lot of power and a lot of money, so that the positions do not become lucrative. And then in the end, they do not become a do or die thing. It was a do or die thing for the regional kingpins, and that's why it was bloody, it was mad with a lot of violence and bribery. So to a bigger extent, it was not free and fair.
It wasn't free and fair. But as he said, it has not started right now. It stemmed from way back. When we started using money to go and buy votes, when we started using money to woo voters. You see, when you're in power, in government, there is a show of might, which we actually witnessed it. There was a show of might between the two camps. Oh, we have money. The other ones, no, we have the security. Because there were people who were even being chased away, arrested for nothing. And you're arresting somebody who is an observer, who came to observe, and say, no, we are not going to do this. You found a CS infiltrating a polling station and intimidating people, and you can tell me it was not free and fair. It was not fair.
What do you foresee now from this kind of an election in 2027? First of all, like I had started by saying that I did not see young people, the youth, in the ballots. I did not see a lot. Actually, we have 2 minutes. We need to wind up. I didn't know it is only 2 minutes. We need to wind up.
I foresee chaos. Now, if we continue down this road, 2027 elections will be marked by chaos.
And that is not our portion.
Chaos.
And that is not our passion.
We need proper electoral reforms. Like we need to have an IEBC whereby that you're not going to intimidate a returning officer. You're not, and first of all, we need to change these officers who are presiding over those elections to be from other areas, not my own area, because you'll be compromised.
Okay, I think it's a conversation that we need to continue with.
Okay.
Yes, wind up.
Trisha, I see disappointments in 2027, and I am appealing to every politician who wants to vie in any election in 2027 to come up with agenda, issue-based agenda, a vision, and that vision, trickle it down to short-term and long-term objectives. Tell them that I want to make America great again, or I want to make Kakamega great again, and this is how I'll make Kakamega great again. Let us run away from individual-based politics. But I also say, Trisha, as I conclude, that let young people come out, run for office, register as voters. Education is in the ballot, healthcare is on the ballot, infrastructure is on the ballot. Even the shoes we wear is on the ballot. Thank you, Trisha.
So, thank you so much, guys, for coming. I like the discussion, the conversation, quite informing and eye-opening. So, until next Saturday, even for the listener, see you. Please take care of yourself so that now we can meet again on the same next Saturday.